welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Sludge, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you. And let's party! Big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back to check this out, even though you missed the live party. Guys, make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. It is a Saturday afternoon, and we are doing it. So just hit that subscribe, ring the bell, and you will never miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. So say thank you to my6shirt.com, the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at my6shirt.com. All right. Welcome to the party, everybody. I got a good one for you today. So you may have seen that Tucker Carlson, Rudkowski, Seamus Coughlin, and James O'Keefe were all on Timcast last week at the TPUSA AmFest festival. And we covered, one of the conversations from there, but I just could not go without doing this one. So this is Timcast IRL at America Fest from TPUSA. Without further ado, let's dive in. As always, guys, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm your host, Tim Pool of Timcast IRL. Thanks for coming, and let's bring out our panel. There we go. We got Ian Crossland.
Don't forget, I've had Ian on the
Next
show.
Up.
If you haven't seen that, definitely go check it out.
What we're talking about suspense.
All right, we're going to... we don't need to see everybody walk out.
Started on criminal and head on. Or if Trump, many don't, because anything.
We'll get into it with everybody here.
All right, let's do it. Shout out to Mood. Welcome to the party. Pim Tool. That's a good one for him, right? Welcome.
It's a big year-end show for us. We've got Donald Trump's approval rating. His polls against Joe Biden are through the roof. In swing states, he has a tremendous advantage with voters who did not vote in 2020. Joe Biden is in the gutter. And so we're looking at political victory right now. We're looking at cultural victories with the likes of Public Square, building the parallel economy, with Angel Studios and their movies, and of course, with a massive crowd and what we're seeing here at Turning Point USA. So the big question is, with all of this success and all this hope right in front of us, what can we expect next year, and what do we do to keep the momentum up and avoid losing it?
So that is a great question to start this off, and the lens through which I want to be talking about this and looking forward, because obviously an election year, there's a lot that's going to be going on, and always, as we say, especially with the the announcement from Colorado, we need to understand where we are as in order to understand where we are going. Shout out to Jerry Singleton. Welcome to the party.
I think the best thing to expect is equal response. You're going to get an equal and opposite response.
Shout out to Ayush. Merry Christmas, brother. Good to see ya.
We've got to think clear, and we've got to have slippery minds and willing to do new things that have never been done before, awesome new technologies, things that people won't be expecting, and implement them fast like Uber was implemented.
Yeah, I think one thing conservatives have to be very careful about here is not assuming that we're going to have a victory, because everyone was talking about the red wave day in and day out without us actually coalescing around a central message. And because the only thing we had to say was we're going to win, rather than putting forward a strategy for doing so, we ended up getting clobbered. And I'm worried that we have the potential to see that happen again in 2024.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's... I don't know how... likely it is that anybody is going to beat Donald Trump, but we don't necessarily know if Donald Trump is going to be on the ballot. So it's definitely something that we can't take as a foregone conclusion. It says slippery minds, smooth brains. Yep.
I don't know if I would. I know a lot of people felt like it was a clobbering with the midterm, but I think while we do see tremendous cultural victories, I'll give a shout out to Benny Johnson. He had that amazing clip that I saw on X, where he was shouting out this massive audience and showing the lack thereof for some other leftist personalities. While I think we certainly are doing really well culturally and winning the hearts and minds of people. I think what a lot of people missed in 2020 and 22 was winning elections is not just about convincing people to vote, it's who counts the votes. And that's my concern now going into 2024. We can sit here and talk about polls all day and night. Are we going to have the procedure behind us to actually win?
You're talking about electronic voting, man. You need to know what that software code is, because if it's tricking shit behind the scene, maybe I can say that in this audience. You know what word I'm talking about.
Charlie, kick him out.
We need to be prepared. I think that demanding open source or free software voting like code like AGPL3, so at least we can look at the code. It doesn't mean that people can't hack into it, and that might still be an issue, but at least we know that the machines are doing what they're supposed to do. That's
something that I wish I would have asked Ian when he was up here. Again, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. This idea about free the code, free the code, free the code. He's always talking about free the code. And I understand the basic notion of what that means. But like, okay, the code is free, and now what do we do with it? I wish I would have asked him that because he talks about that so often. Luke says, any evidence that votes haven't been counted? What from 2020, you mean? Yes.
If we're going to use those.
Yeah,
Hey, shout out to Kenneth from Oklahoma. Good to see you. Welcome to the party.
no country serious about democracy would ever use an electronic voting machine, and many don't, because anything digital can be manipulated. Look at Wikipedia. Look at the internet, where entire portions of history are now gone. So I would just demand that we have no electronic voting machines. Why would you even want to worry about that? But I would say,
paper ballots. One day, everybody votes in person. You can have absentee ballots. Like, let's say you're bedridden or something, or you're just not gonna be around. But the mass mail-in voting just cannot happen. It cannot happen.
That you don't want to give the other side credit for being straightforward or honorable, because they're not. And so it's not a question of convincing anyone. The argument against Trump in 2020 wasn't a wall is bad. You can't make that argument. The argument was, he's a bad person, and then we had COVID.
So what are you saying? He's wrong about the fact that you're saying Ian is wrong about the free the code thing, or Tucker's wrong about not using the machines?
Which, of course, was the kind of pivotal fact of that election. So I think you have to assume, if we have another pandemic or a war, particularly a war between now and election day, that is either, an intentional act to subvert our democracy, or it certainly will be harnessed for that use. So I just wouldn't assume that it's going to come at you straight and head on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have to understand, people don't relinquish power peacefully. The establishment has a lot of power that they're abusing right now. We're dealing with criminals. We're dealing with individuals.
I love that shirt. Epstein didn't Epstein himself. Bang.
That have committed psyops, that have committed horrible atrocities on the people of the world, that have started wars, that have started literal gene splicing, chemical, biological warfare against the people. So we have to understand, there's going to be something that's going to be happening here that we should be absolutely paying attention to, as we're dealing with essentially a multi-trillion-dollar propaganda machine. But it is being wrecked by shit posters and memes.
Yeah,
it is being destroyed by individuals speaking truth to it. It is being destroyed by individuals coming together, coalescing, and saying, enough is enough of this bull crap. I am done. My life has value. I am standing up for myself. I am standing up for this country. And that is a danger to the establishment.
Hell yeah, it is a danger. Hell yeah, it is a danger. And of course, one day when we can do it, I want to do stuff exactly like this. Bringing people together, communicating is the biggest weapon that we have. Mood said, less voting means Republicans win. More voting means Republicans lose. Wonder why all voter suppression is done by Republicans. Ayush says, you can make an analog machine while making the counting automatic. The having concerns come from digitally functioning microchips. All right. Well, I definitely got to read a little bit more into that.
That they fear. And in that fear, we're dealing with a cornered animal. That cornered animal is dangerous, and they could act out in many different ways. And they're capable of anything. They're capable of something that we can't even imagine.
Luke's just cranking it right up to 11 right when we get started, so I can respect that. But in terms of what Tucker was just mentioning about war, I'm hearing a lot of talk about a potential full-scale war with Russia as something that could potentially subvert us in 2024.
I wonder if all that money we sent to Ukraine has anything to do with that. Shout out to Guantag. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you, brother. So all you beautiful bastards, remember to like and subscribe. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Very much appreciated. Welcome.
Well, war means war powers for the people waging the war. So these are people who think only in terms of power, acquiring it, preventing you from having it. So they see it, I mean, you see war in terms of its human cost or maybe its geopolitical effect. They see war in terms of their own fortunes and their own power. So the second we're at war, and there's a long history of this in the West, when war broke out in 1940 in England, the government, later run by Winston Churchill, our hero, put the opposition party in prison with their families, where they stayed without charges. And that's been, that's
sounds familiar, just a little bit.
Been Epsteined, it's gone as a fact, but that actually happened. So don't underestimate the ability of a government at war to use its new powers to criminally crush its opponents.
There's a journalist by the name of Steve Baker, who is a contributor to The Blaze, who has tweeted that he was instructed to turn himself in tomorrow for charges related to January 6th. This guy, you see a picture of him, he's wearing a suit, he's got glasses, he looks like your quintessential journalist. Richie McGinnis, who's a friend of ours and also a journalist who worked for The Caller, said this.
I remember Richie McGinnis got a lot of that firsthand coverage of Rittenhouse, and go on text saying, "Merry Christmas, guys! I will be doing a Christmas show, 8 p.m. Eastern on Christmas. We will be here."
This guy is unambiguously a journalist, and he told them only a few months ago, they'll never arrest you for this, but now they're doing it.
So how about no? I mean, when is the first person going to stand up and say, this is fake, this is political, I'm not submitting? I mean, I don't know. At some point, they're going to force people to do that. Everyone in this room believes in the system, grew up in the system, was proud of the system for its unique fairness globally. Unique. Mm-hmm. No system was fairer than ours. And that's the main thing that we were proud of as Americans. It no longer is. And it's transparently political, particularly the January 6th stuff. There's like, it's been 3 years. Yeah. This is insane. And so someone at some point is going to be like, I don't know, you're going to have to Ruby Ridge me because I'm not playing along.
That's worrisome.
It is worse. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, why does everyone pretend like this ghost system, which is merely sort of a grotesque imitation of its former self, still is real? It's not real.
You're speaking my language.
And it's very interesting to hear Tucker, of all people, say this, because he was so recently part of the machine. And I mean, he might have been the best part of the machine, but he was still on Fox News, saying all these talking points. And I think that is why people trust him. People are continuing to trust him because he was a different guy. He was the Fox News guy. And so the circles that he was in, the information he was getting, it made sense that he said and thought the things that he did. And now that he's not the Fox News guy and he's talking to all these, alternative media people, that his opinions are changing in an organic way that you would expect for somebody who's actually down with all this.
Everybody knows what two words I want to say, but I'll throw it to Charlie instead.
No, I mean, look, the empire is going to strike back in 24. What that looks like, we don't know. And in 20, they did declare war. That's what COVID was. COVID was a domestic declaration of war that gave unelected bureaucrats unlimited power to change the voting laws.
Damn.
And they're going to try to do it in 2024. Probably a foreign war, but who knows? And we have to be prepared for that if we want even a chance to win. And people ask all the time, do you think we're going to win? I have no idea.
Well, these rules are all still in place?
Yeah, I mean, mostly.
Universal mail-in voting?
We've minorly changed some things in Georgia, Wisconsin.
So we talked about this in depth on the last stream, but it's specifically for officers of the United States, and the president is not an officer of the United States. So it's a misreading, or it's a misapplication of the 14th Amendment.
Some things. Arizona has gotten worse, actually. We've gotten less secure in our elections.
And also, let's not kid ourselves. There's probably going to be a psyop. There's probably going to be a false flag.
We're living through one.
There's probably going to be an agitation, and our reaction to the next thing, whatever that next thing is going to be critically important. And this is why I think there's such a massive effort to take down Twitter, to take down Rumble, to take away people's ability to call out the psyops in real time, which are happening right now. And I think the system is kind of scrambling because I think they had a lot of things down the pipeline, but they know they can't get away with it. It's a very dangerous gambit that they're playing right now.
Yeah, I mean, this whole idea that there's something coming down the pike. I don't know how to say that I know this. I don't know it, but there's something in the air that you could feel that people are getting desperate in the establishment, and it's just very important that we're looking at these things and understanding what does this mean? What is behind this? Not every story you just follow the face value. Like there was just a video that came out with some dude in a MAGA hat that was burning down something or another. And it's just, you got to look really close because that stuff is, people are making fake videos. The lawfare or the warfare online is insane. Shout out to M169. Welcome to the party. Good to see you. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. We also got X-Frost in the building. Welcome to the party, guys. Talking about how there is likely a PSYOP coming, so keep your eyes open.
And I don't see things going well the longer this goes on and the more that we don't know what the future is going to be in front of us with as they're desperate.
That's what waiting around is not the solution, because if we just petition them to, hey, please stop electronic voting, we can't see the code, please give us the code, it's not going to happen. We need to build systems that are better, or in parallel, like we could vote legitimately on the machine or wherever with paper, and then on a blockchain voluntarily. Like it would just take a lot of us to do it.
I mean, obviously that wouldn't work out, but that's a great idea. Like not enough people would do it, but that's a fantastic idea.
And then we could check and see if they're accurate. And that would be one way to move forward.
It is tough. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I agree with what Tucker was saying. Yeah, let's not have electronic voting machines. Open source the code, do whatever you got to do. But there's a practical question of what can we do right now with less than a year in front of us.
The best thing is use X and Twitter because it's obviously a threat to them. They wouldn't want to shut it down or go after Elon if it wasn't working. The greatest hope we have in 2024 is we have a sliver of the public square back that we didn't have in 20. And
that's very, very true. If you think about what would get you banned on Twitter just a few years ago versus what you can say now, as it should be. Make sure you're following me on X, Twitter, right there.
That's why they're going to try to either indict Elon or they're just going to try to crash Twitter through a DDoS attack or some sort of foreign threat. They're going to try to take Twitter down by the summer.
The EU is going after him now.
Yeah,
they just announced this today,
obviously.
Right?
No, people are saying things on Twitter that you're not allowed to say, and they're going very viral very quickly, and public opinion is changing too rapidly.
Can I just point out? I think it was Dave Smith who pointed this out to us on the show.
Shout out to Dave Smith.
That before Elon Musk purchased X, if you said men are not women, you would be banned.
Exactly.
That actually happened. I mean, it is quite remarkable. To be fair, the gains we've gotten back. I mean, it's a tremendous loss for the fact that we could not say on one of the biggest social media platforms in the world, men aren't women. They actually banned Meghan Murphy for saying that, and just that. It's very innocuous.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just saying. Is that we're the tide is turning. We are moving in the right direction. 69 says, up your X engagement. Keep telling the truth. Yes. Context said also, something else we can do is keep up the boycotts on the companies that don't give a shit about us. Vote with your dollars and keep the pressure on. Bingo. Absolutely.
I find Twitter is a vulnerability at this moment, the way it's built, the centralized system. So if we can decentralize that thing into a protocol and still use it, and it's
guys, could I just get 2 more likes, please? Not even 3, just 2 likes. Thank you.
Fast enough. There's still issues with like Nostr where sending video is slow, but it doesn't mean it's always going to be slow. We can use mesh networks so that if we all have Twitter on our phone and 4 of our phones go down, the other 2 are going to keep the network going.
I do think that what Turning Point USA is doing right here is one of the most important things. Bringing people together. People are meeting each other all throughout this building and even in the streets, even at restaurants.
Yes.
And that's why it's so important. That's why it's so important that I'm trying to build this platform, that Tim is building his platform, that TPUSA is building their platform to have the ideas that people like us have. In order for them to get to Washington, you can't just want it bad. You have to do something. You have to bring people together and you have to create political pressure.
That culture building is the most important thing because, as we all know, it's been quoted 50 billion times. Andrew Breitbart, politics is downstream from culture.
Someone told me this is like the RNC now. This is basically why not just this is the RNC de facto.
Pretty much.
I can't.
Pretty much, and that's why it's so difficult when people try to associate me with the GOP. Or somebody like Mitch McConnell or something. It's like, yes, I lean more to the conservative side when it comes to these cultural issues, and I think the cultural issues are very important. With that being said, that doesn't mean that I'm looking to, rah GOP. I think changing what the Republican side of the aisle even is into a more America First type thing is exactly what we need to do. Shout out to Ayush Gupta for the for the $15 PayPal. My goodness, thank you so much. And of course, every single donation comes with a treat for my co-host Morty, getting that duck recipe. Yummy. Thank you, sir. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Thank you so much, brother. Very, very much appreciated.
That as a compliment. If you might have meant it as an insult. Would you call the RNC, Tucker? It's like NATO. It sucks huge amounts of cash and demands attention and does nothing useful.
Time to abolish it. And it subverts Poland in its comparing anything to the Republican National Committee or Convention is just...
It's an ugly slur.
Yeah.
It's an ugly slur.
I'll take it as what the RNC should be doing.
Say,
Exactly.
Shout out again to Ayush. Very much appreciated.
Having been around this stuff my whole life and spent my whole life in Washington, the true corruption of the Republican Party, I don't know, it just took... I was like 10 years behind on that.
Speaking my language.
Remember that, man.
But now that I see it, I'm like, I can't even believe this exists. Because, by the way, in some ways, it's more offensive than the Democratic Party because it's lying. The Democratic Party is just like, we're here to hurt you and belittle you, of course. But the Republican Party pretends to be on your side. They're like Quislings, but they're literally the Republican Congress.
I'll let him go. But Mood's saying the Republican Party is toast. These are the dumbest people all at one table are a perfect representation of the party currently. They literally just said that we don't like that. And I agreed. We don't like that. The GOP, the old Republican Party, that's not what we want. We want this thing that's moving forward. They literally just said that. So either they're the dumbest people or they're the representation of the party. They can't be both.
Congress just allowed the Biden administration to spy on Republican voters. So, is there a bigger sign of the fact that they hate you every bit as much as the Democrats?
What I love about this, though, is I agree with you. However, if you are on the, how would I describe this, the lower end of the IQ bell curve, you don't understand what it is Democrats are saying they're doing. So, for instance, when they say they're going to have free trade, it's good for everybody.
Semantic obfuscation, changing the meaning of words to confuse people or win arguments.
They say we're going to increase environmental regulations and increase taxes. To the average person, they're like, this is good. It makes the rich pay their fair share. But to anybody who knows anything, they're like, hey, wait a minute. This is going to drive all of our manufacturing base overseas where they can ship their products back for dirt, pay people in China dirt, and have no environmental regulations. So this is why Trump takes actions when he did in his first term that resulted in a lot of manufacturing coming back. But see, we can understand that. And I'm not trying to be too much of a dick, but there's a lot of people who don't understand the basics. And I'm sorry, but sometimes I do argue with them on X. And they say, I remember this one conversation where a guy said, food comes from the store. And I said, yes, but where does that food come from? He says, what do you mean? It comes from the store. And I said,
I love that story. It never gets old. I used to say Trump's floating Nikki as a VP pick. Absolutely abysmal. Two questions for all of you guys. How likely do you think it is that he does, in fact, pick her? Assuming that, they don't take him off the ballot. How likely do you think it is that he picks her? And how do you think that, establishment Republicans, moderate people are going to respond to that? Because I'm right there with you. I think it's abysmal. But I don't know. I think it might be politically a good move. When it says establishment Republicans are for low taxes and less government. That's not true anymore. These people are about the great replacement theory. See, this is why I said Vivek shouldn't have said that. Dumbing schools down and taking trans people's rights away. Wrong. M169. So the GOP fails to recognize that they're being replaced by MAGA, and it's more unifying force. Exactly. But Mood's got it.
said, my God, help me.
I'll help you.
I was there for that conversation.
It was
I
fun,
sitting there, it's like,
He's like, what do you mean? Milk's coming from the store. And I'm like, there's a supply chain.
I think you got to build trust, and it's challenging with someone you disagree with. But if they trust you, they're more willing to change their mind about the things you're saying. And you,
Gon's had a good point that there's other female candidates. I heard Carrie Lake's name being floated around. That would be a VP pick.
mentioned Tucker about learning about the corruption of the Republican Party, and I kind of watched it in real time on TV in 2006, 7, 8. when the Iraq War was kind of lit up, and I remember you were into it. It seemed like you were on the side of the Republican, like George Bush and the movement. And then what? Jon Stewart came on one day, and you guys just had it out, and it was like humiliation.
This is exactly what I mean about how we see an organic change. We see an organic change in who Tucker is and what the things Tucker says, what the things Tucker believes in. That would make sense for somebody who was the #1 anchor on Fox and now is on his own.
He's like, please stop harming America. But the way you were looking at him was like really listening to him. Was that a moment?
No, I thought, and I still think that he's a mediocrity, and I think time has proven me right on that.
Absolutely.
But what's interesting is that by that point, I mean, this is not even interesting at all, actually, but my views on Iraq, which I had a daily TV show leading up to that war, and I had kind of endorsed it sort of half-heartedly against my better instincts, but I did that. I've felt ashamed about it ever since. And then I went to Iraq in December of 2003, 20 years ago this month. And I got there the day they captured Saddam at Tikrit, and I watched the whole place fall apart. And I won't bore you with the details, but I realized that everything I'd advocated for was a complete lie, that this was a disaster that could only hurt my country, which is the only country I really care about. And by the way, it eliminated the entire Christian population of Iraq, which I guess we're not allowed to say. But if you're a Christian, you should care what happens to Christians globally. And I must say, they do bear the brunt of almost all of our foreign policy. And no one says that. It's happening now, happened in Syria. And it's like
a good point. That's a good point. I never really thought about that, especially as somebody who's not religious, that a lot of these foreign policy things are playing right into the hands of, if it's not straight up Islamists, globalists who don't care about this freedom that we should all have, whether I'm religious or not. Absolutely, I believe that you should be able to have whatever faith you want.
Like, shut up! You're not allowed to notice that. Why? I'm a Christian, and I care about other Christians. Why wouldn't I? And they do wind up bearing the disproportionate harm in our foreign policy adventures. And you have to ask yourself, why is that? Honestly, I don't know the answer, but it's super evil.
Well, I kind of...
Good question.
I feel like a large component, and I think you were saying this earlier, if not the component of what the culture war is the destruction of Christianity.
Of course.
Well, yeah, it's
exactly.
It's a destruction of Christianity. There's also a destruction of innocence. Americans, unfortunately.
So let's just take that part. The destruction of Christianity. Okay. Let's say that that's the case. Let's say that just the left's goal is to destroy Christianity. If Christianity is not something that's directly part of the political landscape, then they can't do anything. They can attack our American identity that I talk about endlessly, that is almost perfectly aligned with being a Christian, just doesn't have the dogma part. They can't knock that down as easily. Oh, you believe in a man in the sky? Just saying. If you want to win this culture war, there are certain things that will work and there are certain things that won't. And clinging to God is not going to work. Context said it's worse. It's a destruction of decency and common sense. I agree. I agree that it's that a lot more than it is the destruction of Christianity. But I don't really care how you characterize it if we both have the same goals.
We'll look at our foreign policy as if it's something entirely removed from our cultural realities and attitudes. But the truth is, we have promoted a callous disregard for human life over the course of decades because abortion was legal nationwide across this country prior to the overturning of Roe. And if you think sending women the message and men the message that they can wage war against their own unborn children does not have effects on the global stage, and that a person who doesn't have to care about the life of their unborn child is supposed to care about children in Gaza or Yemen, you're out of your mind.
Yeah,
I get the logic there. But if we are thinking practically, I understand the theory there, but if we're thinking practically, there have been more later abortions since Roe v. Wade has been overturned before. Roe v. Wade was a compromise for sure. But it was, remember, safe, legal, and rare? And now it's just unfettered. And I don't think that enough people thought about that or talked about that. That, yeah, it was a bad stopgap and we should not allow this ever. But there's a whole half of the country that thinks the complete opposite. And maybe a compromise is exactly what we need.
Doesn't have to care about the life of their unborn child, is supposed to care about children in Gaza or Yemen, you're out of your mind.
Yeah. But unironically, a lot of these neocons, they're usually pro-life, even though they want to start World War III and they want to send your kids to fight a foreign war.
But that's why they're pro-life. They need more babies to go send to war.
Well, yes, I think that's also a component to it, but there's also a lot of hypocrisy because a lot of the chaos that was created by this foreign policy was deliberate. Dick Cheney in 1991 was specifically talking about why we can't get rid of Saddam Hussein, because if we do, it's going to create chaos inside of the Middle East. It's going to kill the Christians. It's going to kill all the different sectarian Muslims there that are going to be fighting each other. It's going to make Iran more powerful in the region.
Iran being powerful? Who would have ever thought about that? Yeah, you're saying nothing else has the strength of congregation as a religious structure. Biggest hurdle in the path of subjugation of a group of people for the establishment class. I agree with that. However, if if that structure is based on something that does not exist, eventually this will no longer be the case. And so if we don't have something to replace it, if we don't have a structure to embody the strength of congregation aside from religion, then it is destined to fail. It is destined to, especially in America, it is destined to fail.
It's going to create a vacuum. And they did it. They knowingly did it after 9/11. The Republicans, after 9/11, were on the wrong side of history, and they set up the institutions and the apparatuses that are now going after their other fellow Republicans and putting them in jail.
And so that's part of the thing that I don't understand is that this used to be something that, anti-establishment people on the left or the right could understand. That the elites are doing this, and it's a different thing. Remember, I always talk about the difference between when we're talking about Democratic politicians and liberal voters, or Republican politicians and conservative voters. Those are two different groups of people on either side. That's 4 different groups of people.
And that's a hypocrisy that needs to be called out. And those people in that party need to be purged.
That's right. There needs to be.
So again, going back to Mood saying all this stuff about how these people are at the table are the perfect representation of the party currently. The whole conversation has been about how they don't like what the Republican Party is. So you're free to disagree, but it can't be both. Either they're dumb, or they're representing the party, because what they're saying is in direct opposition to the party.
Consequences for the actions that they've taken. They have literally done everything they could have possibly done with the role that they had to destroy our country and ensure that the people do not have a prosperous future. And what happens?
Again, they are talking about Republicans there. That was aimed at Republicans, not Democrats.
I mean, we put all of the decision making in the hands of people who pay no price when they're wrong.
I want to throw back to what you were saying, Tucker, about you being on the wrong side of that and you regretting it and all that stuff. I think everybody here now agrees, and this is why they tremendously respect you. And it's because you say things that are true, you learn things, and then you correct yourself, you evolve your opinions, and here you are, many of us, we've watched you for so long, and you take a look at the other conservatives in the establishment with the rise of Donald Trump, and what did they do? All of a sudden now, they're indistinguishable from Democrats. They're the antithesis. They are the people who said, I don't care what's true or correct, I care about what grants me political power. And now we're looking at old neoconservatives who have effectively joined the Democratic Party, or super PACs that are going after Trump. And my favorite thing is when Trump, in 2020...
Well, before he goes there, Mood says, yeah, I think they hate establishment Republicans and want more extreme actions. Low taxes and less government is boring to them. They fight culture wars, and that's why the party is viewed as hateful. I don't understand how fighting culture wars equals hateful. Because if it's a culture war, then there's people on the other side of it fighting it. So, I mean, I agree that the Democratic Party is hateful, but are you just saying engaging in a culture war makes you hateful? The Republican Party is a combination of its followers and representatives. I'm saying that both have shifted to cultural wars. And so you just think that focusing on cultural wars is a bad thing outright. I'm just trying to understand.
In 2020, after they announced Biden wins, you have groups like the Lincoln Project saying, oh, our fight's not over. It was never about Trump. Well, it's just a Democrat super PAC with old Republicans now saying whatever Democrats want to hear to make money.
Yeah. But I do think I agree with every word, and I work for some of the people that you're referring to, and it's horrifying to me to see them change. But I do think a lot of it has to do with what's going on inside them, And they won't admit when they're wrong. And that's a tragedy for the country, but it's also a tragedy for them. There's nothing better for you. There's nothing more liberating. There's nothing more joy-inspiring than being able to admit when you're wrong. It frees you from the burden of the mistake that you made. That's totally real. You don't.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. One, I forget who said it recently, but I think it was Zippy who said that it's an actual skill to be able to admit when you're wrong, to see that you are wrong, to understand that, you know, that new information, that your mind has changed, and to be able to acknowledge it. That is a skill. And too many people, forget politics, too many people do not have that skill.
You don't have to be a religious person to believe it. It's the basic precept of AA. It's the basic precept of all true liberation movements begin with you admitting that you're probably not a super great person and you don't have unlimited power. It starts with you being honest about yourself. And if you can't do that, you are in a prison. And that's why they're also fearful. Every word is measured. They're afraid of saying the wrong things. Why?
There's no God necessary for any of this.
Why? Because they're afraid of being exposed. If you tell the truth, you have no such fear. You're not afraid at all because you're out there. You don't even care. And if you hurt someone's feelings, if you see something stupid, which people definitely do, you just apologize for it, and it's better. It's like, I don't understand. It's like not a hard concept, and no one in DC can do it.
Yeah, humility. It's a blessing to be able to be humble.
It's the greatest blessing.
A skill and a blessing, indeed, indeed.
I love that you guys.
There's also a big distinction here that I think is very important to kind of call out here, because when we have these two sides, we have the establishment and we have the anti-establishment. The bigger distinction is one side is a bunch of bloodthirsty neoconservatives that want war and death and murder. The other side want, of course, none of that. They want peace. They are anti-war, principally anti-war. And for years now, there has always been an attack, no matter who you are, if you are anti-war. And I think this is a key issue that's going to be very important for this election cycle, because I do think something in Ukraine, something in Europe is going to be that galvanizing new Pearl Harbor-like event. And I think we need to speak up more, be more anti-war more than ever.
I think he's hit on something, that it is the anti-war sentiment on either side that really gets the establishment going, because that is, if nothing else, that's what they all have to fall back on.
Because this is the key crux issue. And for years, Bill O'Reilly previously called me a jihad-loving liberal when I was
Shout out to Kellen over on IG.
Criticizing the war.
And he's got
Chris Matthews, when I was criticizing the war a couple years later, called me a right-wing racist teabagger. So
You've got a great resume, man.
I didn't change on my philosophy. I didn't change on my point of view. I have always been anti-war. I have always been anti-establishment. The system has always been pro-war, and that's the big distinction here.
You're living through a realignment that's promising, and Tucker, you helped lead it. You're sitting in a room that, watch this, we should not send one more dollar to Ukraine to that go-go dancer named Zelensky.
Hey, shout out to David Banner. Welcome to the party. Said Merry Early Christmas, everyone, or whatever is allowed to be called now. Hey, we can call it whatever the fuck we want. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, y'all. Don't forget, I will be doing a standard live 8 p.m. show on Christmas. So open up your presents, get your dessert, and then come to the Indian Jesus live party.
Should have sent him a $1.
The issue is,
hold on.
We should ask for the money back.
Hold on. You're sitting in a conservative event that is applauding for something. This has all been realigned. It's all changed. That an event like this that would have been predominantly conservative would have 20 years ago been totally on team neoliberal and everything. Maybe there might have been a little bit of contrarians here. And Tucker, what do you make of that?
So before he asked Tucker, Mood, this is precisely what I'm trying to say to you, is that I when I was a never Trumper, I had this notion of what the Republican Party was. And I now can see there's as much hate for the Republican Party in conservative voters as there is, if not more, than liberal voters. And I think that's very important for us to understand. I think conservative voters have more issues with the Republican Party than liberals do. You guys agree or disagree with that?
That all of a sudden the home of not just America First, but skepticism about these foreign wars and adventures now lives in the conservative movement.
Well, I think of course, it's mostly Trump who did that. And I was just, the pivotal moment in the last election, in the 2016 election, that changed my view of everything was the night of the debate in Greenville, South Carolina, when Trump said, that we didn't get anything out of the Iraq War. It was a mistake. And I remember all the dumbos on television. I mean, covering politics is the easiest thing you could ever cover.
Hey, shout out to Melted Mind Media, another awesome YouTuber. Definitely go check out his channel. Just drop the link. Welcome to the party, brother.
Right? And so these are mouth breathers. These are low IQ people. And they immediately check the notes. Oh, South Carolina is the highest military population per capita of any state. And so they all look at, oh, he said that in South Carolina. He criticized the Iraq War. He's going to get creamed in the primary. And I thought the people I know, having been in Iraq and knowing a lot of people who served there, the people who are maddest about the Iraq War, the people whose lives were disrupted or ended or severely injured by that war.
Right. And that's almost directly in line with what I was just saying, is that the people who fought in the war are going to be the people who hate the war the most. And so the people who are trying to believe in the Republican Party are the ones that have the most, I don't know what it is, but disdain for what's not going right.
And of course he won. And it was at that moment, he won the South Carolina primary, it was at that moment that they decided, Bill Kristol and the rest of the ghouls, who were trying to think about how to subvert this campaign and draw its energy for their own dark ends, they decided, we have to stop him, and that's when the realignment happened on the left, where Liz Cheney and Bill Kristol and all these people whose core problem is they could never admit that the great adventure of their life, the Iraq War, was wrong. They could never admit it. And if they would just admitted it, Liz Cheney has lived with this burden, and she's obviously a bloodthirsty freak, but one of the reasons that she is a bloodthirsty freak is that she's never been able to be honest about her own complicity in this crime. And if she would be totally free of all that. And she'd be like a normal human being who her husband could love again. And it would just be all good. But she can't. And
yeah, that's just the standard different levels where you're in the politician class and you can't be a normal person. You can't say, I made a mistake. You can't say, I changed my mind. It's a different lifestyle. It's a different way of existing.
And they're all like that. You know what I mean?
She was raised by one.
There's that.
The family business is invading other foreign countries.
Oh, I know.
And displacing millions of people, lying about it, and then.
But who would go into that business? Who would want that?
I think what they're
only a severely damaged person. The problem is inside them. I just think that's true.
I think they're trying to accrue resources, and it's either that they're trying to get the oil out of the Middle East or the poppies out of the Middle East. They want fuel, so this is why I push a lot of hydrogen and redevelopment of our hydrogen industry at home, so that we don't need to go steal resources elsewhere. The problem then is trade routes. They want a trade route into India through the Mediterranean, and they want to secure this. That's a tough one to not.
Ian, you're being too logical here.
Yeah. Also,
Ian being too logical. What? I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, so I just want to make a point here about the conservative anti-war movement and why I'm so optimistic about it. I'm a firm believer that an effective anti-war movement has to be conservative. Because when you look at the things people fight for, the things that motivate people to enlist, it's God, country, and family. And when the left is anti-war, the way they discuss it is God, country, and family are stupid and you were an idiot for fighting for those things. And what conservatives can say is those things are valuable, those things are good, you are a brave and good person who was manipulated by liars who don't care about those things and we're using you to profit.
Well, now when he says, what do you say, God, family, and country? I am not one of these atheists who, you said God, so I don't listen to you. I can change that meaning for me to mean whatever it is that is bigger than us that we don't understand. But the message, the religious language is so pervasive that you're not going to get people who are as willing to give the benefit of the doubt. And he's right. He's right when saying all these people on the left say, oh, God, country, and family, that's all stupid. And so if you are aware of that, then you have to take that into the type of rhetoric that you're using. Little Dick Cheney, and now that was Nikki Haley. Remember? Mood said the Republican Party went from taxes and spending to taking rights away. What rights have been taken away? Raising the debt and getting the government involved with your bodily autonomy and school curriculum and censorship. The exact opposite. I feel like this might be opposite of the original tenets. These people destroy the Republican Party from having a chance. So I'm on the one side, I completely agree with you that they destroyed the party. But I don't agree with what rights have been taken away? Name one right that has been taken away from anybody. It's the Democrats that are getting the government involved with your body with the jabs. The school curriculum are the one that is showing crazy stuff to your children. So I don't know what you're talking about. There is no right to an abortion. You don't have. So wait a minute. First of all, it's not the Republican Party that made a decision on anything with abortion. It is right now open because it goes to the states. That has nothing to do with there are states right now where you can get an abortion at 9 months. So that's no. The right to transition. Show me the law that says you cannot transition. Show me the law that says you cannot get married if you're gay. I'm pretty sure that the first president who came into office accepting gay marriage was Donald Trump. So what are you talking about? You're just wrong. Yeah, the stereotypes aren't helping your argument. You're acting like the other side hasn't done the same or even worse. Exactly. Hey, shout out to whatever. Welcome to the party. Merry Christmas to you as well. But I will be here 8 p.m. on Christmas. If you are done opening presents, come and hang out. Okay, so those are wrong. You had a right, and now you don't. Which right did you have? Again, the right to an abortion is not a right that you ever had. It was always a privilege. Obama didn't even say, yep. You're telling me Republicans aren't pushing to secure marriage as a biblical interpretation. Some of them are, but I certainly am not. Projection. Yikes.
I do think you're half right, Seamus. What I often hear
It's better than usual.
Better than usual. When the left talks about anti-war, there are people I know I've had conversations with, and I'll make sure I carve out respect for them. But typically it's this country, this war is an affront to family and faith and stability in the economy for the other country. America sucks. We hate America. America should be.
Who likes to be wrong? Who likes to be wrong? Of course I hate to be wrong. But that's why I spend so much time making sure that I'm not wrong. You don't just get to claim that you're not wrong. You have to actually do the work and be right by the right things, not just decree that you are right.
Funding these.
Yeah, a lot of this is not for profit. A lot of this is not for strategic American goals. I don't think these people care about America. These people literally go to the Bohemian Grove and do mock child sacrifices. They literally do spirit cooking where they take bodily fluids and try to summon demons.
He's got you there, Guantek. He's got you there.
They literally go to private islands where they hurt little babies and children in unspeakable ways that we can't even mention here on this particular frickin' broadcast. These are evil, sinister human beings that I truly do believe are worshiping a larger outside entity, a satanic, evil entity. It sounds reductive to say that, but if you look at everything they do, it doesn't add up until you put in the kind of spiritual aspect to this.
Exactly, which is why you have to stop relying on the Bible. It's not working, guys. It's not working. You can believe in whatever the fuck you want, but to think that, well, the Bible said, that's not working. We need the American identity to replace that spiritual aspect so that those who are secular and those who are religious, who agree that conservative values, Judeo-Christian values, whatever you want to call them, Enlightenment values, that those are the values that we should have. We need to be able to come together. And as long as you tie all of that to the Bible, you will lose. You will lose.
They have been hijacked. They are not real souls. They are individuals serving the greater evil.
I changed my answer to that.
Real quick, I want to ask a very quick question of everybody. Okay, Seamus, have you ever been arrested?
Oh, man, why are you going to ask me that here? Yes.
You haven't? Okay,
Yes,
Tucker.
yeah.
I said, shit, me too. Put one in the chat if you have been arrested before. I've been arrested 3 times. God damn.
Have you ever been arrested?
I've been taken into custody twice.
So, Charlie, no? Okay. Have you ever been detained?
No.
You ever stopped and questioned?
In Israel, yeah.
Okay. That means, and Ian, you've only ever been detained?
Yeah, my buddy had weed in the car.
That means
They
for
let me go.
everyone here on the stage,
Hey, you missed
have
me.
served. Oh, we know you've been arrested.
7 times for journalism.
Okay, this
I
means
got arrested on the way here.
that everyone here has done more time in any context than anyone on the Epstein client list for the Epstein client list.
Damn. Damn. I have done more time alone. Me. I have done more time. I mean, not in prison. I was in jail. But wow. Crazy.
It's like the liberal economic order, man. It's the least worst world order.
Shout out to Owen Schroyer for making that point.
But this is the issue that brings people together, and I want to kind of change this conversation a little bit, because if you look at left, right, center, everyone agrees, hey, what they were doing for decades with the FBI covering up child abuse, when the witnesses and people came to them and said, hey, this is happening.
Yeah, that was bad. You're not supposed to do that.
Police officers, judges, prosecutors, politicians, celebrities, media moguls all played a part in it. Meghan McCain said that literally everyone in Washington knew what was going on. Mm-hmm. Everyone was afraid of Jeffrey Epstein.
Everybody outside of Washington knew what was going on. Anybody who listened to Alex Jones at all and took him with a modicum of sincerity and credibility, which may not be the right thing to do, but in that case, it was outside of Washington knew. So of course everybody in Washington knew.
This is something that will bring everyone together and make people understand, hey,
I hope
the system is rotten.
Luke,
it's corrupt.
I really hope, Luke, but I don't know. I'm very scared that there will, because of the people named, and because I think that there's going to be a lot of people on both sides, but because of the specific names on the left, I think there's going to be people who are actually, no, both sides. I think there's going to be people who are named, and people are going to run cover and be like, no, they didn't do it. That has to be fake. And it's going to muddy the waters, and it's going to be all bullshit. I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope he's right. I just don't know.
And it can't be fixed until we deal with this single issue.
We've not only have heard these stories of Epstein, the Lolita Express. Madison Cawthorn made some allegations.
Madison Cawthorn was right.
Because we all saw, as much as you probably didn't want to, that video out of the Senate, was the Hart Building hearing room floor, which was very disturbing. And I do hope they decontaminate that building. I mean that sincerely.
He should be arrested. What he did was worse than what 99.9% of people on January 6th did. And he should be arrested. And
actually, I want to make that a poll. Which do you think is worse? The J6ers in total. So there was absolutely rioters on January 6th, but there was a QAnon shaman who was, escorted around. There was the grandmas walking around. So we have the J6ers, the entire January 6th people, or I don't even remember what the hell we were talking about.
It was worse than what
contaminate that building. I mean that since floor, which was
the dude getting railed. Which was worse? I'm gonna put the poll up. Right
and I do hope they decontaminate that building. I mean that sincerely.
He should be arrested. What he did was worse than what 99.9% of people on January 6th did. And he should be arrested and put in federal prison.
Than what 100 did.
Well, not beating a police officer. There's a couple people that did, but yeah.
Well, it is a desecration of the space. I mean, most January 6th people,
Right,
I've interviewed a lot of them, as you have, and they're all, they were there because they believe in the system, because they all had pocket constitutions. They thought it was real, and they were so shocked to see their election stolen, which obviously it was, and that they marched on the Capitol. But they were there to uphold the system, and some did it imperfectly, and some got out of hand, of course. But this guy is there to degrade it, to defile it on purpose. Like, there's no reason to do that in a hearing room.
I used to say, and check out the latest All In podcast by David Sachs and Chamath on Trump's name being taken off the Colorado ballot. It's incredible to see how the ardent Democrats are being red-pilled. Worth reacting. All right, I will definitely check that out. If you want to drop a link in the Discord server, that would be much appreciated. Mood said both are not as bad as what Tim is hiding under that beanie. There you go. Yep. Conservatives, I can't bring Destiny on without you guys talking about his hair, getting him cucked. And when Tim comes on, we got to talk about how he's bald. Always. Almost United said, I still can't see the options. Which is the first one, so I know how to vote. Okay, so our poll, which is worse? 1, so if you can't see the poll, just put a 1, the dude getting railed, or 2, the entirety of January 6th. Which was worse? 1 would be the dude getting railed. 2 would be January 6th was worse.
It's posted on the internet. Like,
let's make this distinction here as it pertains to January 6th. There were people who were violent. That's bad. You should
Yes.
be held criminally responsible if you're attacking cops. I agree with Charlie. There were people there who were let in by the cops, but knew that something violent was happening. But more importantly, I have spoken with many people.
All right, that with ML69's vote on Android, come on, YouTube, you got to fix that shit. But including her vote, we're 50-50, guys. We're 50-50.
Who showed up an hour after any violence cleared roads, no gates, doors wide open with cops smiling, welcomed them in and took selfies. And those people, I've met 2 of them, they're going to prison for 18 months. And they said, I showed up an hour later. It's a clear sidewalk. We walked up. There are people milling about. Cops opened the door. Weird shrugging. We walk inside for a few minutes. We walk
Weird
out. No
shrugging.
idea anything ever happened.
That sounds like one of the things that the captions would say on your TV when weird shrugging. And that's why my vote is also with the dude getting railed, because it was so out of like, yes, even though the rioters absolutely were rioters, we're not talking about the protesters. It was mostly protesters and then a bunch of rioters on January 6th. Those people did the wrong thing. Those people got violent. Those people did whatever caveat you want. But at least it was in the context of something that we can see is, writing is the voice of the unheard. I'm not riding with them, but I understand what they were doing. Dude getting railed in the, not in the White House, in the Senate chambers or whatever. What are you thinking?
Next thing we know, the feds are at our door. These are not people who even, as you described, Tucker, these are people who are just there to see Trump speak and happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So how about no on that? I mean, when is honestly, I mean, I don't want to put anyone in jeopardy, but like until people say we're just not playing along with this anymore, obviously Congress isn't going to help.
You know the problem,
They're
I
totally
think,
for it.
we talked before about religion. Christianity is like the battlefield of the culture.
I remember this part. Guys, if you have not watched already, when Ian Crossland was on the channel, I interviewed him directly. This is the first time that I've seen him talk about religion in this way. And I have to, I mean, maybe he was talking to somebody else who was talking about this stuff. But I remember this, and you can't tell me that I didn't rub off on him.
Culture war, and you were talking about demonism and Satanism creeping into the culture in a lot of ways. I think one of the problems with Christianity is that it encourages people to be subservient to a church, and then therefore subconsciously they become subservient to a government. Like, why aren't they saying no?
Well, a man has as many masters as he does vices, and the reality is you're a slave to something. And if you choose to be a slave to God as opposed to the government, you will be the most difficult possible man to conquer.
But it's the way they define.
All right, so let's see. Shout out to Ayush. Where am I? From Patrick Beck David. Denver law school judges have the ability to reason and process. Ivy League school judges are emotional and political and lack the ability to reason and process. Bad ideas are getting exposed by logical people who can
the legalistic bullshit democracy now means.
I don't know who this is. Do we know who this is? So I don't know who this is. If anybody can, I guess Chef Nerd, but I don't know who that is. But let's see what he's got to say.
The right of the people to vote for candidates approved by liberal judges. And yes, Jay Cal, all these judges were Democratic appointments. I think this case makes clear that the point of all of this lawfare against Trump is to keep him
Lawfare. That's the word I was looking for earlier.
off the ballot. Until now, they've been pretending it's about something else. And I think this decision rips the mask off all the legalistic bullshit that we've heard throughout 2023. I mean, Democrats don't really give a damn whether he paid off a porn star or kept classified documents or supposedly led a racketeering conspiracy. They just don't want him standing for a vote that he might win. And I feel like all the time we spent on this pod earnestly debating the details and legalities of the documents case, it was a total sucker's game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the narrative they want us engaging in. It never had anything to do with documents. They just want to keep them off the ballot. And I think that by being so naked about this, by ripping the mask off what they're trying to do, the Colorado Supreme Court has really done us all a favor. I mean, the Supreme Court of the United States is surely going to reject this decision.
They better. I mean, they better. It's clear as day when you read the 14th Amendment that this is not how it's supposed to be applied, but we'll see.
But the lasting impact is going to be in revealing liberalism's true face. They are the real authoritarians. And while restricting the right of the people to vote for the candidate who is leading the polls right now, they proclaim that they're saving democracy. I mean, they self-glorify and engage in this self-righteous rhetoric that they're saving democracy.
We have to save your democracy by ending your democracy.
I mean, the rest of the country, any normal person is looking at this and saying these people have completely lost touch with reality. Completely lost touch.
the other unfortunate outcome of this is that there will be a wave where people will talk about the big steal as this. And what people will say is that there was an attempt by the Democrats to really roadblock Trump's ability to be voted up and down by the American people. And that's disenfranchising the ability for people to vote. And I think that that's really unfortunate. And I wish that the Democrats would have thought about that in their calculus before engaging in what is really a deeply partisan thing to do. This will get overturned, but the damage will be long lasting, unfortunately.
Yeah, I completely agree there that the damage is done and it will be long lasting. That there was a precedent set that, okay, this is something that we do in politics now. And I don't think it was worth it. Do I think that Donald Trump broke the law? Yes. Do I think it was worth it to go down this road and set that precedent? No.
Fortunately, that's a shame. Totally.
And Matt Taibbi had a good line. He said that only people who live in a bubble, within a bubble, within a bubble could ever think a decision like this is a good idea. Here are the three bubbles. Number one, all of these judges were Democratic appointments. So living within the Democratic Party is the first bubble. The second bubble was the fact that they all went to Ivy League schools. This was actually a 4-3 decision. The 4 justices who went to the Ivy Leagues all voted for it. They thought this was a good idea. The 3.
So that gives us the context of the what PBD was saying, that the people who are at Ivy League school judges are emotional and political and lack the ability to reason and process.
That went to Denver Law School. The non-Ivy League school were all against it and wrote scathing dissents against it.
Imagine
so that tells you the second bubble is the Ivy League. The third bubble is people who've been totally marinating in the mainstream media and their coverage of this because they think that they can just conclude that Trump is guilty of an insurrection because it's just a fact according to the media they listen to.
Yeah, and it's almost cliche at this point to talk mainstream media. But it's still working people over. I mean, it's still working people over. Well, let's finish.
Trump has never been convicted of that crime.
He's never been charged of that crime.
He's never even been charged with it.
Bingo. There we go. Thank you, Ayush. Yeah, I mean, that is definitely telling that there's I remember Alan Dershowitz was also, a liberal lawyer saying that this is not right. It's not right. You don't have to enjoy the man to understand that this is wrong. And it's terrifying that there's people who just, they don't care. They're like, I don't care that it's wrong. I'm just going to believe the other people that told me it's right and not look into it. And it's right. Moot said one bubble is they're not insane. Second bubble is they're educated. Oh, they're educated. They are very educated.
Find God. You got to be aware that
wait, I want to get back to what we were talking about. God.
Demonism. Talked before about religion. Christianity is like the battlefield of the culture war, and you were talking about demonism and Satanism creeping into the culture in a lot of ways. I think one of the problems with Christianity is that it encourages people to be subservient to a church, and then therefore subconsciously they become subservient to a government. Like, why aren't they saying no?
Well, that makes so much sense. Why people who've left Christianity fell into leftism, because they are used to being subservient. Brilliant point.
Has as many masters as he does vices, and the reality is you're a slave to something, and if you choose to be a slave to God as opposed to the government, you will be the most difficult possible man to conquer.
Fine, I agree with you, Seamus, but just saying that doesn't make people not make themselves a slave to the government. I agree with you, but what are you going to do about that? Well, I guess if you want to choose the dark side, then you can choose the dark side. That doesn't help America on Earth today. That doesn't help. It's not good enough to just say, well, we're better than them. It's not enough. I just said Rachel Maddow, Chunk, Anna, Crystal, and Kyle are claiming it's totally fair and more states should follow suit. Not surprised. Not surprised. I am a little surprised at, maybe not surprised, but of all of these people, Anna is the first person that I would think would be like, I mean, maybe we shouldn't be doing that. But it's Trump. And, as much as she's, moved in her positioning over the last few months, TDS is a real bitch.
But it's the way they define God.
It's the way they define God. I don't remember how this goes. It's the way they define God. Remember, I always tell you guys, when you go to, for the Christians, when you go to church on Sunday, before you walk in, ask yourself the question, what is God? Have an articulated answer in your mind. Then you go and sit in your pew and you turn to the person to your right. You ask them the same question, what is God? And they will give you a different answer. Then you turn to the person to your left, ask the same question, and you will get yet a third answer. How do you define God?
Be the most difficult possible man to conquer.
But it's the way they define God. You got to be aware that they're
we
not
didn't define
manipulating
God.
you.
He told us who he was.
I think Ian.
Okay, fine, Seamus. We didn't define God. He told us who he was. Okay, well, then explain to me what he told what he told you. Do you think it's going to be the same thing as the next Christian? It's not. You said you're right. Anna's still squirming on this. In Seamus's worldview, the only right way to live is being a Christian. Yeah, and I mean, you can have that worldview. You can have that worldview. And you will lose in the political realm. People just do not believe anymore. There's a lot of people who, through their, let's say through their 20s, maybe they weren't religious, but they didn't go through they didn't cross the line into being an atheist, or maybe they thought they were or whatever. And you see a resurgence. There's a lot of people coming back to it. But, and should I do this now? Fuck it. Let's do it. So, Ayaan Hirsi. How many of you are familiar with this lady, Ayaan Hirsi Ali? Ayaan Hirsi Ali. She, so let's just do the basic Twitter thing, or Twitter. So she is a Somalian-born Dutch-American writer, activist, and former politician. She is a critic of Islam, an advocate for the rights of self-determination of Muslim women, opposing forced marriage, honor killing, child marriage, and female genital mutilation. So she, at the age of 5, local traditions in Somalia, Ali went under female genital mutilation. Her family moved across a bunch of countries. 23, she received political asylum in the Netherlands, gaining Dutch citizenship, and came over to America or the UK and started being a big critic for that stuff. She was part of the new atheists. Hey, shout out to Inappropriate Innuendo, like that name. Welcome to the party. All right, so M169 knows who she is. Guam Tech said she's a badass. And for a long time I felt the same way, but she recently came out with this. Why I am now a Christian. And I meant to do a standalone video for this, and I just haven't had the time, but this is a perfect timing to go through this. I'm going to read this, and I want you to tell me what is missing, especially if you're a Christian. What is missing? So why am I a Christian now? Atheism can't equip us for a civilization war. In 2002, I discovered, in 2002, I discovered a 1927 lecture by Bertrand Russell entitled "Why I Am Not a Christian." It did not cross my mind as I read that. Let's get a little bigger. It did not cross my mind as I read it that one day, nearly a century after he delivered it to the South London branch of National Secular Society, I would be compelled to write an essay with the precisely opposite title. The year before, I had publicly condemned the terrorist attacks of 19 men who had hijacked the passenger jets and crashed them into the Twin Towers of New York, if you believe that. They had done it in the name of my religion, Islam. I was a Muslim then, although not a practicing one. If I truly condemned their actions, then where did that leave me? The underlying principle that justified the attacks was religious after all. The idea that jihad, or holy war against infidels, that's a weird sentence, but was it possible for me, as for many members of the Muslim community, simply to distance myself from the action and its horrific results? At the time, there are many eminent leaders in the West, politicians, scholars, journalists, and other experts who insisted that the terrorists were motivated by reasons other than the ones they and their leader, Osama bin Laden, had articulated so clearly. So Islam had an alibi. This excuse may say, This excuse-making was not only condescending towards Muslims, it also gave many Westerners a chance to retreat into denial. Blaming the errors of U.S. foreign policy was easier than contemplating the possibility that we were confronted with a religious war. We have seen similar tendency in the past 5 weeks, and again, this came out recently after the 10/7 attacks. We've seen this similar tendency in the past 5 weeks as millions of people sympathetic to the plight of the Gazans seek to rationalize the October 7th terrorist attack as a justified response to the policies of the Israeli government. When I read Russell's lecture, I found my cognitive dissonance easing. It was a relief to adopt an attitude of skepticism towards religious doctrine and discard my faith in God and declare that no such entity existed. Best of all, I could reject the existence of hell and the danger of everlasting punishment. Russell's assertion that religion is based primarily on fear resonated with me. I'd lived for too long in terror for all the gruesome punishments that awaited me. While I had abandoned all the rational reasons for believing in God, that irrational fear of hellfire still lingered. Russell's conclusion thus came as something of a relief. When I die, I shall rot. To understand why I became an atheist 20 years ago, you first need to understand the kind of Muslim I had been. So, okay, we're going to skip that part. She worked with the Muslim Brotherhood. She got her clique turned to, all that shit. Muslim Brotherhood, Islamic study, special hatred for Jews. You can see why someone who's been through such religious schooling, atheism seems so appealing. Bertrand Russell offered a simple, zero-cost escape from an unbearable life of self-denial and harassment of other people. For him, there was no credible case for the existence of God. Religion, Russell argued, was rooted in fear. Fear is the basis of the whole thing. Fear of the mysterious, fear of defeat, fear of death. As an atheist, I thought I would lose that fear. I also found an entirely new circle of friends as different from my preachers of the Muslim Brotherhood as one could imagine. The more time I spent with them, people such as Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins, the more confident I felt that I had made the right decision. For atheists were clever. They were also a great deal of fun. So what changed? Why do I call myself a Christian now? Again, something should have been mentioned so far, but not. But okay, now we're talking about her Christianity. Part of the answer is global. Western civilization is under threat from 3 different but related forces: the resurgence of great power authoritarianism and expansionism from forms of the Chinese Communist Party, and Vladimir Putin's Russia. The rise of global Islamism, which threatens to mobilize a vast population against the West, and the viral spread of woke ideology, which is eating into the moral fiber of the next generation. We endeavor to fend off these threats with modern secular tools, military, economic, diplomatic, and technological efforts to defeat, bribe, persuade, appease, or surveil. And yet, with every round of conflict, we find ourselves losing ground. We are either running out of money with our national debt in the tens of trillions of dollars, or losing our lead in the technological race with China. But we can't fight off these formidable forces unless we can answer the question, what is it that unites us? The response that God is dead, shout out to Nietzsche, seems insufficient. I agree. It is insufficient. Atheism is not an answer. Atheism is a starting point. So too does the attempt to find solace in the, quote, rules-based liberal intentional order. The only credible answer, I believe, lies in our desire to uphold the legacy of Judeo-Christian tradition. Okay? Again, anybody shout it out when you see what is conspicuously missing from an article that's labeled, "Why I'm Now a Christian." You just shout it out. The legacy consists of an elaborate set of ideas and institutions designed to safeguard human life. Where'd I go? Freedom and dignity from the nation state and the rule of law, the institutions of science, health, and learning. As Tom Holland has showed in his marvelous book Dominion, all sorts of apparently secular freedoms of the market, of the conscious, and of the press find their roots in Christianity. And so I have come to realize that Russell and my atheist friends failed to see the wood for the trees. The wood is a civilization built on Judeo-Christian tradition. It is the story of the West, warts and all. Russell's critique of those contradictions in Christian doctrine is serious, but is also too narrow in scope. For instance, he gave his lecture in a room full of former, at least doubting, Christians in a Christian country. Think about how unique that was nearly a century ago, how rare it still is in non-Western civilizations. Could a Muslim philosopher stand before an audience in a Muslim country, then or now, and deliver a lecture with the title, Why I'm Not a Muslim? In fact, a book with that title exists, written by an ex-Muslim, but the author published it in America under a pseudonym. It would have been too dangerous otherwise. To me, this freedom of conscience and speech is perhaps the greatest benefit of Western civilization. I'll read that again. To me, this freedom of conscience and speech is perhaps the greatest benefit of Western civilization. It does not come naturally to man. It is the product of centuries of debate within the Jewish and Christian communities. It was these debates that advanced science and reason, diminished cruelty, suppressed superstitions, and built institutions to order and protect life, while guaranteeing freedom to as many people as possible. Unlike Islam, Christianity outgrew its dogmatic stage. Okay. It became increasingly clear that Christ's teaching implied not only a circumscribed role for religion as something separate from politics, it also implied compassion for the sinner and humility for the believer. It'll be not. So look how far down we are before she even mentions Jesus Christ. Before she even mentions it. So I mean, you guys. I'm gonna drop the link to that if you guys want to go. Shit, did that work? Hold on. If you want to read the rest of it, but point being, there's a lot of people doing this. Well, things are looking bad. And there's no moral structure, so I'm just going to go with Christianity, even if I don't believe in the stuffs. How long do you think that's going to work? How about, instead of just retreating into, well, I guess I'm just going to stay in this little corner with the Bible, how about we come forth and say the American identity is what brings us together? It's just a smokescreen. You don't know what to do with your principles and your values. And because the Republicans have been so good at shaping it as exactly Christianity, now you feel like you're a Christian when you don't actually believe in God or Jesus. You just like what they say. Well, guess what? Me too. I like what the Christians say. I like what the Jews say. But I'm not one because I don't believe. And maybe it's just me, but I think that should be a core part of a Christian. Accepting Jesus Christ as a savior, accepting the existence of God. But that's just me.
You will be the most difficult possible man to conquer.
But it's the way they define God. You got to be aware that they're
we
not
didn't define
manipulating
God.
you.
He told us who he was.
I think Ian.
I agree.
But I don't disagree with Ian's point. But I think it would have to be refined in that there are people who masquerade, pretend, or don't truly understand, and would use faith to manipulate others. I mean.
Exactly. That is why we need to get away from dogma, because you can't do that without dogma.
We see this in government, especially when Democrats claim to be the real Christians, but then say the church is in favor of, say, abortion or something like that.
Yeah, and
Context. I don't mean people having the belief that Christianity gave birth to the West. It's when they use the idea to shame you and force their religion down your throat that pisses me off. I said, shit. Me too. Exactly. I'm fully willing to accept that Christianity gave birth to the West. That is how it happened. That's fine. But I don't believe in the things. Why does that mean that we can't be friends? Why does that mean that we can't fight together for the things that we agree on? I still have not gotten that answer.
obviously I'm speaking from a thoroughly Protestant perspective, but I don't see my reading of Christianity, just like the text, does not at all indicate loyalty to a church. It indicates fealty to God. Yes. And so I first of all, it's not incompatible with being a citizen at all.
Exactly.
I think Christians make the best citizens, actually, and you can absolutely support your government and support your God. But if it comes down to it, if your government is actively opposing God, you really do have to make a choice between those two masters.
And I'll make a quick point. Sorry, Charlie. I'll make a quick point and shout out our good friend Bill Maher, because it's a point I've made frequently that whether Bill acknowledges it or not, as an atheist, His moral framework is built on Judeo-Christian
That's right.
values this country was
Does he
founded
say
on.
that now?
Yeah, and I accept, as an atheist who does not believe there's a man in the sky or there's anything that I would call a god, my morality comes from Judeo-Christian values, Christian values, whatever, Abrahamic value, whatever you want to call them, because those are in line with Enlightenment, liberal, classical liberal values. Once again, I said you're not wrong. It is a core part. The trouble is, too many want to highlight what they disagree on instead of what we agree on. Bingo. Exactly. You don't need to pretend that you believe in a thing that you don't believe in just because they have some ideas that you like. That is the complete opposite of what she should have done. Why I'm not a Christian or why I'm an atheist who loves Christianity. That would have been brilliant. But no, I'm one of them now. I'm one of this. I'm a thing that's very ill-defined that doesn't really mean anything. I'm just part of the club. That's all it means. On the left, it's, you know, whether you're using the right terms and the right pronouns, that just signals that you're part of the club. On the right, if you say Christian, you say God, and you say, it just signals that you're part of the club. It doesn't mean you're a good person. And it doesn't mean if you don't believe that you're not a good person. Actually, yeah, there's plenty of us who don't believe, who I would say are a little bit morally superior. I said Mad Cope. Christianity was gay. Do you want to try that one again? I don't know what that says.
No, he doesn't, but it's a fact.
Well, Tom Holland wrote the book called Dominion, where he's an atheist secularist who said that we all have a Christian inheritance, whether you like it or not.
That's absolutely right.
Absolutely. Bill Maher believes in free speech. He believes in innocent until proven
Those
guilty.
are all Christian values.
Christian values. And, you know, I wanted to explore years ago why the founding fathers decided upon these amendments to the Constitution and the framework as it was. And you learn a lot about how the Bible influenced their views of what is just and moral.
And that's great. That is fantastic, because it has brought us to a place where even without the Bible, we can do better than the Bible and still have that community. But y'all Christians have to allow it. We're here looking to do exactly what are they doing? What is happening here? There's a bunch of people who are sharing ideas on a stage, and there's a crowd there. How is this that much different from going to church outside the fact that it's not about God and nobody's trying to make it about God? Well, I mean, Seamus is, but, you know, I mean, it's focused on the politics. Why is this lesser? Why is this lesser than church? Why can't we have this and church if you want to? Shout out to AKA, oh, where is it? AKA 182. Welcome to the party. It said, read The Founding Myth by Andrew L. Seidel. It touches, it touches on this subject very well. Thank you. He is an atheist. Awesome. I will definitely check that out. Thank you very much, and welcome to the party. And once again, I said, as someone who's trying to follow Christian principles, fail a lot, but I try. I'm okay with you acknowledging the foundations of American values. Yeah, but I mean, why wouldn't we, right? One says, did Ian say anything about judging it being better than non-Christians, or did she just go on to explain her personal beliefs? I reserve judgment to the former statement. So it was mostly about how she feels like she needs to be a Christian because even though I don't know if she specifically says that she doesn't believe, but she's saying regardless of the actual belief, it's the values that we need. It's exactly the same thing I'm saying, but she just one click off. It's exactly the same thing I'm saying, is that we need something to coalesce, and they're all calling it Christianity. And as long as you call it Christianity, all the people that we want to bring into it are not going to be down with it. So let's do precisely the same thing you're doing. But we're going to call it something different. So the people who have an aversion to God, religion, Christ, Jesus, these words, they don't get scared off. Or you can go the other way and be like Ion. And if you can't beat them, join them.
And so just to, at the surface reading, you might say, oh, Christians aren't supposed to fight back against tyranny. Exodus 1, the midwives to the Hebrews, they disobeyed the order of Pharaoh where they said, throw all the babies in the river. They said, no, we're not going to do that. And God said, dealt well with them, it says in Exodus 1. Daniel 6, Daniel disobeyed the order, says, you can't pray anymore. He says, nope, I'm going to keep praying. And he opened up the window and prayed proudly, and it ended up.
This is where you get people like me who are fighting for you, with you, just glazing over. Just glazing over. You said good and Christian are synonymous for him. Yep, too much of the Republican Party. He will push theocracy every chance he gets. Galileo was hanged for going against the Bible. So there's something to be learned about goodness beyond the Bible. I said, fuck yeah. Let's drink to that. Let's drink to that. There's something to be learned about goodness beyond the Bible. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Up in the lion's den. In Acts, it says you obey God, not man. So look, throughout Christianity, we have seen, honestly, one of the most successful movements against tyranny are when Christians are brought to a breaking point. Christians can be very agreeable, and then as soon as that snaps, disobedience to tyrants is obedience to God.
I want to shout out Seamus.
I don't even disagree with that. But imagine if it's not only just the Christians. What if it's all of the people who care about these values? Don't you think that would be better?
Yeah. Real quick, when he said you would be the most difficult man to conquer, and this is exactly why I think there is such a tremendous push against anything that is related to Christianity, because these are people who follow God, who obey God, and you need someone to be beholden to a man, because a man can change the rules at any moment.
That's right.
Yeah, well, and so you guys, I know you mentioned you're coming at it from a Protestant perspective. I'm the resident Catholic.
What did he just, did anybody understand what Tim just said?
Anything that is related to Christianity. Exactly why I think there is such a tremendous push against anything that is related to Christianity, because these are people who follow God, who obey God, and you need someone to be beholden to a man, because a man can change the rules at any moment.
That's right.
Yeah, well, and
if any of you understood that, please help me out, because that went right over my head. Because it's interesting that it would be Tim, because he has this hodgepodge, like, oh, I'm not religious, but I feel like he kind of plays into the same thing that I'm talking about with Ayaan Hirsi Ali, that he kind of plays into religion a little bit more than he really believes, because it's good for the brand. And I don't know if he even really just said anything.
And so you guys, I know you mentioned you're coming at it from a Protestant perspective. I'm the resident Catholic here, so I have a different perspective on the church. But I will say part of the reason I appreciate
even that, where it's like, oh, you get extra applause because you say you're a Catholic. That's icky. That's culty. That's not good. That's not good. You want people to applaud you because of the things that you say that are good, not because you said, I'm on your team. Shout out to I'm Contempt over on Twitch. Welcome to the party. So I think he's saying that the rules that Christians have cannot bind. What do you mean bind? Bind each other? I would disagree. I think, as an atheist, I think that the rules Christians have absolutely are great at binding people together. I just think that you don't need to believe in a God in order to understand those processes. Welcome to the party. You said he tries to placate the base. Yep. Okay. Bend. So I think he's saying the rules that Christians have cannot bend. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's exactly the issue, is that there's no this is what I talk about with dogmatic thinking. You know, whether you believe that a male can turn into a female, or you believe that a God in the sky knows everything and cares if you jerk off or whatever, then that is, and you're not willing to question those, allowing them to be breakable. If you're not allowing them to be breakable, that is dogmatic, and that is not good. You should always be in the position to say, I'm very confident in what I'm telling you, but I also am willing to leave open, even if it's the tiniest little bit, that I'm wrong and that everything could be completely over, the opposite. I don't believe that there's a God, but I could be wrong. That's it. Listener 9 said, I think Tim is highlighting the left's position. The left needs you to the left needs you beholden to a man. Oh, okay. I think that makes sense. And this is similar to what he said to me when I was on the after show. For those of you who know, for Timcast, they have the after show for members only, and they take call-ins. And so I brought this whole idea, basically what I was just telling you about semantic obfuscation, changing the words of meanings, and dogmatic thinking, that those are bad things. And if we can agree whether or not you are religious, if we can agree that those are bad things, then we can come together. And he kind of brushed it off, and he's like, well, you need a mission. It's like the right has God, but the left just has government. And like I don't disagree, but I don't see how that is relevant to what I'm trying to say. Shout out to Indyville. Welcome to the party, brother. So I think he's saying that there's a pushback against Christianity because the rules come from God, and they are trying to get rid of Christianity so the rules can be controlled by man. Okay, yeah, okay, I'm getting it now. So, and the fact is, they're right, guys. Whether or not a God really exists, the rules will be controlled by man. So you can try to pretend that the man who's in charge is really taking rules from God, but that's not how it works. And so if you open the door to say, okay, well, even though we don't have a God, we have these men who believe in these values that we can say are good for society because they always have been, and we can test them scientifically. And if you believe that all that stuff is here because of a God, great. Have that. That's you. But if you don't, that's cool too. As long as you care about family, culture, tradition, merit, capitalism, not hurting people, property rights. As long as you care about these things, why is it an issue how you came to believe those things? It doesn't make sense to me. I'm Content said, a good Christian can't forsake God's truth. Does the left not have God? They definitely don't. And that shouldn't be a bad thing. But because they have nothing to replace it, then they just pick up hedonism. The Bible says that the world is run by evil and sin. This has been made, that much is made clear. God does not directly influence this world. He created it and let it grow. So we got a deist in the building. We got a deist. So this is, this is the if you're a theist, then you disagree that God does not directly influence this world. He created it, and it's not that he created it and let it grow. It's that he created it and is continuing to take part in it. And so again, we get back to a different definition of God. And I'm just saying, all of these definitions, you can have them. It doesn't need to stop us from winning politically.
From perspective on the church, but I will say part of the reason I appreciate you so much and the things that you've said on air is because even though you're an Episcopalian, you're somehow like the most Catholic commentator on air. I find the things that you say about like economic justice and also social conservatism tend to line up very closely with the political values that I have as a Catholic. But I would say that, of course, as Christians, we should be good citizens and obey civil authorities when they are not asking us to do something evil. But as soon as you're commanded to do something...
Oh, real quick. I forgot, guys. I switched my Rumble channel. I started. We will be streaming on Rumble ASAP. But you need to have 5 followers. So where's that link? Let me get that link. I need you guys to go follow me so that we can stream on Rumble. Where the hell is it? Copy link. Boom. Go follow me on Rumble so that as of Monday, that's right, Christmas Day, I will be here live. We're doing Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter or X, Instagram, Kick, and Rumble. That is the goal. Please give me a follow.
Obey civil authorities when they are not asking us to do something evil, but as soon as you're commanded to do something evil, you have to resist that.
Yeah, the scriptures are very clear about that. You obey God, not
and the
man.
church tradition is very clear about that.
Tucker, you made some very interesting comments recently that has been going viral all over social media when you were specifically talking about UFOs. And you were specifically talking about something that is hard to kind of really understand here. I was wondering, what's your kind of take on all of this? Because I see this as a spiritual war. Do you see this as a spiritual war? What are your kind of core belief systems when
Working
it comes
on it,
to addressing the larger evils of the system?
Well,
Yeah, put a 1 in the chat if you have ever looked at anything on minds.com. I'm just curious. Mr. Good said, I will say that I'm hopeful. I'm a hopeful universalist. Hopefully, we all end up in heaven after a final last chance to accept God's love. But hey, what do I know? That would be nice. That would be nice. Hey, shout out to Indy Bell. Oh, shout out to Indy Bell. Welcome. Well, I said welcome to the party. Thank you very much. I don't even remember what I said to do that, but thank you. Shout out to Susie Man. Stand with Jew Crane. That's the first I'm hearing of that. But all right. All right, where are we?
What are your kind of core belief systems when it comes to addressing the larger evils of the system?
Well, as I so often do, I spoke in
Just read the Bible. It's all there.
completely. I didn't fully explain myself in the clip that you're referring to, which like 8 people have sent me in outrage. That I basically said there are things that I know that I won't say, which of course is not exactly right. I don't know. I mean, I can't prove it, and I really do try to like say things that I really believe are true and are provably so.
Fair.
And so that's kind of my hesitance. If I had facts, I would say them. It's my personal belief based on a fair amount of evidence that they're not aliens. They've always been here. And I do think it's spiritual.
Okay.
I would say them. It's my personal belief based on a fair amount of evidence that they're not aliens. What? They've always been here. And I do think it's spiritual. That's my view. So and again, it's not provable, but based on the evidence, I think.
I'm with you.
Absolutely. Well, the military has been working in this realm for a very long time. They have been also trying to weaponize it. There's also a lot of crazy experiments that they did with DMT, hooking people up essentially to
It just
DMT
went
IDs,
left, guys.
having people go off into the spiritual realm. So if you're not paying attention, you don't understand that there's a larger kind of energetic frequency and battle happening.
But can I say one thing? If the U.S. government has in fact had direct contact with these beings, whatever they are, I've already told you what I think they are, and has entered into some sort of agreement with them, which is the claim of informed people, I would say, whether they're right or wrong, I can't say conclusively. But if that is true, I mean, it's a very, very, very heavy thing.
Yeah, a lot of people say interdimensional beings.
Right, I want to
The fallen angles.
ask, are angels and demons, or how would you describe
Shout out to Any Film. Thank you so much for stopping by. You have a good one.
these beings?
You know, these are, again, I'm getting into the realm of conjecture, so I just want to say that flat out.
Entity?
But one thing I know for a dead certain fact, having seen it, is that there is good and evil, that we are being acted upon at all times. And I think every person can feel that in himself. I mean, there are moments when you are moved to do things that are much better than you actually are, and that are also more evil and destructive than you actually are.
So I disagree with you here. Ayush, saying it's total BS. Nothing is being said in this whole segment. I completely disagree. We have to understand that even if the words that they're using and the concepts are very esoteric and incomplete, they're all trying to tap into the same thing. And whether it's a god or an energy or a dimension or a something, unless you believe you're a strict materialist, and don't believe that there's anything beyond what we can see, touch, taste, and so on and so forth, then I think it's really interesting to hear how people who think they all, again, they just like when you go to church, everybody in that room has a different idea of what is God, what is the purpose of God, what is my purpose in following God. All these things, you're going to get a different answer from every one of these people. But these people have cultural influence when they talk about this stuff. So even though I'm with you in the sense that they're just kind of pining, first of all, he said it's just conjecture and he's speculating. So fair enough. He's not saying I know that this is true. But it's interesting to see, okay, when I trust you on A, B, C, D, E, and F, let's see what you think about X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? I think there is value in that. Is there any value in what they're actually saying? No. But very interesting to hear. I'm contempt agrees. Thank you.
You are subject to forces from outside yourself. That is absolutely true. Now, we can argue about what they are, but every person in the room, if he's reflective, will tell you, yes, I know what you're talking about. And so there are forces that are not human, that do exist in a spiritual realm of some kind that we cannot see, and that when you think about it, sort of make you think we live in an ant farm.
Yeah.
Being right. And that's that is real.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's many artists also talking about how essentially what they do in their greatest works of art is usually done through channeling.
Of course.
So, and there is an aspect
Not
of this
freedom
that I
chicks,
think,
by the way.
definitely not that.
But again, that's why it's so frustrating to me why you wouldn't want to further understand that. Why would you want to leave it to, okay, well, Michelangelo channeled this for the Sistine Chapel. And, maybe somebody in the next however many hundreds of years will be channeled for this. Why don't we actually understand what's going on the best we can? And maybe we can bring about a little bit more of that godliness that you talk about. But you're so content. You're so content to be like, oh, this is something we'll never understand. Then, and you just stand back. How will you ever expect to understand it? Shout out to Christopher Gonzalez. Welcome to the party. Thank you so much for the like. Glad to see ya. Said science is always studying those events. Yep. Yeah. And I don't see why, again, I don't agree with the need for a separation between science and religion. Religion and politics, morality, and I don't think that everything needs to be wrapped around the goddamn Bible. Even if it is for you, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But maybe for me, I have a different way of arriving at the same conclusions, the same positions. And if that's the case, then let's not fight over how we got here and agree that we're sitting at the same spot. Hey, we got a two-timer. Welcome. We'll catch up rather soon. I'm concerned that not all Christians think science is bad. Some believe that science is good for God's word. And I mean, yeah, that's essentially what I would expect because we live in a very technological world. Like you're not seeing me right now if you don't believe in science. Or that's not what I meant. Without science, you would not be seeing me right now. I'm not actually contained in your phone or on your computer. I'm in fact in my own home, in a living room. There's just a camera right here. And all of this is connected by the same scientific method. That's just what it is. This is where the freedom movement gets to me. They speak like freedom can only be within their God. True freedom is what should lead you to God or choose to live without it.
Dilly dilly.
Dilly dilly to that.
Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly.
Exactly. And if it is so that your God is so powerful and so great and so loving and so, then why do you need to force it down my throat? Won't God take care of that? Won't God show himself to me in the way that is appropriate for me? I just don't get it. I say the influence is enough from the word of the people in your surroundings. Creations and stories of the people who came before us has influence over us all the time. We don't need so-called entities. Great. Content said, moreover, science should prove any of God's word or truths real, or the truths of God would die. Yeah, the Christian God doesn't think freedom is coming. Not sure how they get there. That's another good point too. But yeah, I mean, the science should only, if what you say is true, then science can only bring us to that truth. It is a process of determining what is true, what is real, what is. So you cannot use science and get to a not God if there is a God. That's not possible. We may not get to the question of whether or not there is a God, which is where we currently stand. But there's no way that you can use science in a universe, in a world, in where a God exists. You're using science and you miss that God. That will not happen unless God is hiding. And just saying, personally, that's kind of what I believe. That if there's a God, he hides from people and things because he's a dick and doesn't really care about people.
Well, he's channeling.
We haven't made
It's not that
anything
good yet.
By the way, every artist will tell you that. Every artist.
That something happened, that they're not themselves, that they just were doing their art,
Now
and then
blow!
something just
Transcend.
went.
No, but
through
and it's
them.
not just visual arts. It's every creative act brings you closer to something outside the human realm, and you can.
But again, even like this shit's so frustrating because, like, all right, I'm not used to doing this show on a Saturday afternoon, so I was a little nervous coming up. But you know, you get into it, you get into the flow, exactly what they're talking about. You get into it. Now I'm feeling comfortable. I'm good. Has nothing to do with God. Has nothing to do with God. It's just comfort.
Can feel it, whether it's woodworking or writing or painting a painting or writing an opera or writing a rap song or whatever. Anything that is true and beautiful or anything that is dark and destructive is almost certainly a product of forces acting upon you. And
Almost certainly. How almost is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. Contempt says, I see your point on the hiding. The story of the Tower of Babel speaks about God pulling back heaven. Yep. Well, like, shit, I'd hide from this too. As soon as we found God, the first thing we'd want to know, we'd want to do is know how to control him for our own selfish goals. Anybody else seeing that? I see me. Let's check the good on Instagram, good on YouTube. Oh, I think that's you, homie. Oh, you mean when I do this? Yeah, no, that's because I had to pee.
you can feel it.
God created us to participate in creation with him, to participate.
Yeah, that's a thing that I can just do to turn off the camera on camera. If you see it go black, that's a bad thing. But this just means I hit the button that said stop camera.
In his creativity and make things.
That's right.
And since everyone in creation with him, to participate in his creativity and make things.
That's right.
And since everyone here is cool, I'll say this. With respect to demons and spiritual forces, there's a priest who was laicized towards the end of his career. He's relatively controversial, but he was an exorcist by the name of Malachi Martin. And one thing he said about exorcism cases is that
I just need to take a breath. We're really talking about exorcisms. Okay. Tell us about the exorcist, Seamus.
By the name of Malachi Martin. And one thing he said about exorcism cases is that in films, you see all of these over-the-top portrayals of head spinning and vomiting.
That's not real. Come on. You think that's real?
And he said when it comes to things like vomiting and all of these supernatural visual indicators of possession, that those are the cases that are the most mild because the soul's trying to fight back. And with forms of perfect possession, the most dangerous forms of possession, you can't tell when you look at the person because they're perfectly content with the evil thing they're doing. And then you look at the way people in DC act, you look at the way our political leaders act, and you go,
it's LARPing. It's LARPing. These people will make fun of you because you like the Marvel movies. Yeah, this is what they believe. Like, bro, that's fucking cringe. And if you didn't have half of the country kind of agreeing with you, but actually not, because they say that they're Christian, but they don't actually believe what you believe. So you're the only motherfucker who thinks this shit. But everybody accepts it because you say it's Christian. You use the word God. You say the devil. You say demons. You say spiritual. And this crazy fucking thing. I was just like, oh, yeah. It's like, you look at the way the political leaders go in DC. It's exactly like that. What the fuck are you talking about?
They're doing, and then you look at the way people in DC act, you look at the way our political leaders act, and you go, is it that much of a stretch to say some of these people? And this is not.
No, it's not that much of a stretch because the original premise is retarded.
Some crazy outsider belief. Jesus performs exorcisms in the Bible. Like, this is not something that Christians.
And does it make you wonder that no doctor has ever been able to explain where exactly schizophrenia comes from?
That's exactly.
I bet it's parasites.
And that we cannot treat it. We can suppress it, but we cannot treat it. And there's no kind of baseline for it at all. There's science that has not penetrated schizophrenia. So, like, what is that?
And that is the other thing.
So I'm concerned. Well, he sort of mentioned that sin is an obvious possession of the mind because it's a mental virus. And so we can say that if you are, especially something obsessive, where you can't control yourself, an addiction or something like that, or you get so angry and you see red and you can't, and you instinctually go and do something. yes, we can talk about that in the sense of a mental virus, in the sense that it takes over your mind. But we understand what is happening in the brain electrically and chemically when that happens. There is no God necessary to explain that way better than the Bible ever could. Addiction is the first obvious sin of man. Okay, fair enough.
Because in my view, as a 28-year-old cartoonist who knows basically nothing about the world, but if I would be so bold as to speculate on this, I think part of that is the problem with psychology is it doesn't take into account that the human person is a body-soul composite, and that you are not just chemical reactions happening at the level of the brain. And
that's just wrong. That's just wrong. Half of the problem is that it's so esoteric and like woo-woo, and especially in the last 10 years. I have a degree in psychology. The whole holistic mind, body, spirit, that is a core tenet of American psychology. And I would argue that is part of the issue. Part of the issue of how we got to the place of gender-affirming care, where the child decides what's wrong with them and what should happen with them, is exactly the type of dogma that you have when you're talking about this. Dogmatic thinking is bad for society in any realm, in any manifestation. Believe nothing except that anything is possible. Believe that anything is possible. But aside from that, there is nothing that can't be disproven. Shout out to Soil to Soul in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. At home now, finally. Good to see you are safe. I don't want you texting and driving, all that stuff. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Consent said that's the fault of the genetic forefathers' actions. People in their family and many people of the world have drank alcohol in exchange bad water. So man has sown sin into our culture. Okay, personal opinion mixed with fact. Fair enough. With that caveat, I will say fair. Guamtag says, man, as cringe as Seamus can be, I'm still very open to the fact that we don't know everything about how the body connects to the soul. Atheists may disagree, but whatever, it is what it is. I agree with you, brother. I agree with you. Nobody is saying that we know everything about how the body connects to the soul. What I'm saying is that when you are feeling the sense of awe because you're singing a hymn with your congregation, that we absolutely do know what electrical signals and what chemicals are flowing through your brain, where they're going, the receptor. We understand this. We as humanity, I don't personally have a degree in neuroscience, but there are people who understand this stuff. And it can explain it as easily as, hey, this isn't magic that this is about to fall when I let go. I don't have a crystal ball, but I know that when I let go of this, it's going to fall. Oh my God! What, is that surprising to any of you? No, because we understand gravity. It is the exact same concept. The exact same concept. And, the notion that we understand everything is a false premise. I don't think anyone, atheist, religious, or otherwise, claims that we know everything about everything that has to do with our bodies and the universe. That would be silly. That's not what anybody's position is. And if it is, then they're retarded.
In a series of tangled up pathologies that produce certain behaviors and states of consciousness, you have a soul. There is a spiritual component to you that can be acted on by outside spiritual forces.
When I was younger, I 18, 19, 20, I very much fell into this. There is no good and evil. It's competing interests. Some people think the other person's evil because their interests don't align and they have different worldviews. And as I got older, especially with the past 8 years, my worldview fundamentally changed. And there's one man I owe a great deal to for revealing to me the evils of the world. That's Adam Schiff. He is.
I was going to try and guess.
A liar, a cheater, a deceiver, a manipulator. I mean, I was so shocked to.
Oh yeah, so people lie and cheat and steal. Therefore, God. That's not how logic works.
See this guy on TV lie in the way he does to destroy. And I call him out because it's an easy name to throw mud at. But there are so many people that I'm shocked to see, particularly on the left with liberals, and now the neocons have joined them. Who I'm shocked when I'm like, these people know they're lying. They know what they're doing will drive us to a path of destruction. For what logical purpose? None. And let me give you a quick story. When I was at Occupy Wall Street, this was one of my formative moments. Here I am, 25 years old, really still kind of believing a lot of good and evil is subjective. And I met someone who worked for a major media corporate press publication who explained to me, as they write and support the movement, they were nihilists. And so their intention was to watch the world burn down. And I'm not.
They just don't know. They just don't know. And that is why I genuinely believe that I have the answers. I missed this one. What was that? But I will come back to that, your last one. But I genuinely believe I have the answers. We had Ian Crossland on, and I was like, hey, here's my idea about how we should move forward as non-liberals, as non-woke people. He was like, yeah, sounds good to me. We have Peter Boghossian, an actual philosopher. And the only thing he had to say, well, be careful when you say semantic obfuscation, because obfuscation implies that somebody's actually doing the twisting. So we had to include, now there's the people who are changing language and twisting words around, and then there's the people who are listening to the twisted words and being confused. So we have semantic obfuscation for the people who are doing the twisting, and the linguistic creep for those who are falling for it. This stuff, I have the answers, guys. I have the answers. Please, if there's anybody who you think can tell me that I'm wrong, I would like to speak to them. As we said before, I hate being wrong. I would like to stop being wrong about anything that I'm wrong about as soon as possible. I like being right. So if I'm wrong, please send the person who can tell me so. So Mrs. Before, Unconsent said, so using the train of thing you're on, computers, scary, AI, God, Antichrist, should, with all the knowledge of man and its own calculations, come up with a solution for all man's issues. Theoretically, yes. I think, yeah. I mean, that might include that AI, God, Antichrist thing might say, as we've seen in a million movies, that the easiest way to peace is to kill them all. So obviously, if that is the final solution that the AI says, then that's why that wouldn't be acceptable, because as a human, killing another innocent human is initially wrong. So if we can program it to understand human sensitivities, then yeah, I don't see why computers wouldn't be able to figure out the perfect way to go forward, given a goal. Given that we want a society based on family, based on tradition, based on merit. If you're just setting it wild, then all bets are off. Chaos and confusion create divisions. Indeed, they do. Indeed, I am the second coming of common sense. I got it right here. Here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Indeed, I am. Mr. 9 said divisions create a population easy to control. That's why we need to get together. Whether you believe in God, whether you believe in nothing, whether you believe in Hindu stuffs, then we can all come together on the idea of how society should be run. Just drop that link again if you want to join the Discord. It is free to join, but if you want to be part of the after party with all the other channels, make sure you join the membership. If you're over on Twitch and you want to do that, just send me a DM and we'll figure something out. Invalid invite. How dare they? How dare they? Edit invite link. No limit. Generate new link. Copy. This is my notes. It should be permanent. Okay. Take two. All right. There we go. Vosh will prove you wrong. Yeah. I'm happy. I'm happy to talk to him about it. Because, tell me where I'm wrong, bro. You can't. Killing all men with... Yes, technically. But as humans, we don't want to really do that. And shout out to Dynamic. Where's the? There we go. Shout out to Dynamic for joining the Discord. Welcome. Uncle Sam said, if all humans went to sleep at the same agreed time and woke up foregoing all historical events, world peace could be possible. I guess I agree with that. I don't know how we would get that to happen, but that if we could do that, I am down. Just to plug it, turn it off, turn it on again. That's if that would work, why not, right?
Exaggerating. They said, nothing matters. You can prove nothing. So wouldn't it just be fun to watch it all burn? And I said, no, that's horrifying.
Wait, what?
Watch the way as they write and support the movement. They were nihilists. And so their intention was to watch the world burn down. And I'm not exaggerating. They said, nothing matters. You can prove nothing. So wouldn't it just be fun to watch it all burn?
And that's the opposite of absurdism. So the idea, what's his name? Nietzsche. This idea that nothing matters, nothing is real, nothing has any consequence. I do believe in that notion. I believe that is the case. But because nothing has an intrinsic value and intrinsic meaning, I have the power to determine what the purpose, what the meaning is. And without a God, I've come to the conclusion that very close to all of the things you Christians believe is probably the best way to go. If I can do it, a lot of other people can do it.
And I said, no, that's horrifying. If nothing matters, make your purpose and make things better and make things beneficial and make it flourish. And that's when I started to think to myself, this person's writing for a major corporate press outlet. And it starts to come into clearer picture for me as I'm seeing this throughout my career. There actually are people who are legitimate malicious evil whose intention is to cause suffering to others. And I think, fair point, you look at serial killers and other crazy people.
Before he goes on to that, though, it's the same people, those same people who can fall down the rabbit hole of, oh, let's watch the world burn. Those are the people that you can get to care about the world, to care about society, to care about others for no other reason than because it's nice and it's good and it helps all of us. So again, those nihilists, they exist. And they don't believe in God. And they don't like your Bible. Your move. You need God. You need God. You need God. Or introduce, per the Indian Jesus, the American identity. No God necessary. Shout out to Godfrey. Welcome to the party. Long time no see. Good to see you, brother. Contact said, if you're going to be a nihilist, please at least follow absurdist nihilism. Exactly. The other version is just chaotic destruction for no reason. Exactly. If you have this notion that we can do whatever, why would you want to make things worse? Let's make things better.
People, there's real evil in this world.
There's more sociopaths per capita in Washington, D.C. than anywhere else in the world. Yep. That's not an accident.
I was going to say that makes a lot of sense.
Okay? These are the people that you put in charge of your life. And this is where I come as an anarchist and once again try to remind all you amazing people the solution.
My brother just tuned in on Instagram. By the time I said, hey, he was gone. All right.
They're usually within you taking personal responsibility for yourself. If you give the government even a niche, you give them anything, they will absolutely take it and abuse it for their own personal benefit. I want to get to Seamus's point here really quickly, because what you talked about, some people talk about frequencies, some people talk about energies, some people describe it as souls. I do agree. You do have a frequency, but you decide where that frequency goes, how it's affected, what its impact on the world it will have, and that choice is everyone's. And
Exactly. So Ayush is in agreement with the diagnosis, not the remedy. Okay, what's the remedy?
I think the more we start looking at ourselves and how we could be better and less government intervening in our lives, then the true change will happen in our society when we no longer will need government.
Let's talk about 2024. We've got polls claiming Nikki Haley is doing very well and gaining ground. Not that I think she will defeat Donald Trump.
You guys like Nikki?
That's right. There you go.
Fan favorite.
No,
You guys aren't fans?
And it's unsurprising. I mean, this somebody goes on stage and advocates for war and lies about the intentions of Russia as it pertains to Ukraine.
She's an accomplished woman, and you should stop insulting her.
And Vivek Ramaswamy has a problem with women for calling out facts.
That was a Chris Christie quote, by the way. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. He said that at the debate. All right.
However, I was asked a difficult question last night because I think it was Steve Bannon who said Trump's going to choose a woman. And with the polls that are coming out there, someone asked me, would you vote for Trump if he chose Nikki as VP? And
would you guys vote for Trump?
Well, that's the question.
Ooh, would you vote for Trump if he picks Nikki Haley for VP? I think I had to say yes.
That I asked you specifically.
Well, I would not only not vote for that ticket, I would advocate against it as strongly as I could.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's just poison. I mean, here's someone who's actively opposed to the interests of the country I grew up in, who endorsed the BLM riots.
All right, hit the poll, guys. Would you vote a Trump-Haley ticket? Yes or no? If you cannot see, then just let me know in the chat. Shout out to Darren McNeil, said no. Shout out to Democrat Poop City, said no shot. I'm Content, said hell nah. All right, I guess. So what do you do then? What do you do then? LC Sign says no. Nope. As much as I love what he accomplished, she is poison. So what happens then? What happens then? What do you do when that is the ticket? Are you gonna not vote? Are you gonna vote for Biden? Are you? I mean, you said Vivek would be the way to go. Very obviously. I mean, I hear you. I'm with you. But are rhinos better or worse than neolibs? Right? What are we talking about? I don't know. 86% of you saying no. She is a war pig. I agree. But again, what are those are the options? If it's Trump and if it's Trump and Haley versus Biden and Kamala, really? So the soul said, I don't think I could either. I guess I'd just be voting Vivek in that case. Godfrey said, I don't know. I guess I don't know Nikki, and I can't vote, but I would. All right, at least me and you, Godfrey, me and you. Politics said yes, but only if it's between them and Sleepy Joe. I'd write in for a third candidate at that point, probably. I mean, I hear you, but that throws a wrench in the whole thing. Don't forget how strong TDS really is. Haley's a reach. It's also Pence 2.0. But I mean, again, Trump and Pence versus Biden and Harris. Trump and Pence all goddamn day. What are we talking about? Democrat Pooh City said if Trump picks Nikki, that means he gave in or is just dumb. She's in their pocket. I honestly can't see why. I mean, yeah, I agree there. I'd agree there. But we're just talking if. At least I stick to my values. Okay. And do what though? Oh, you said vote third candidate. I guess that's scary. That's scary. His cabinet was mostly toxic, so if he picks her, that means he learned nothing. Okay, well that's the first smart thing that I have heard as to a reason why an actual reason, not just I don't like her. I don't know, guys. That's a tough one. That is a real tough one.
And who is not only is not left, but is neoliberal in the darkest, most, speaking of nihilistic way, and has no real popular support. Is a creature of the oligarchs. So yeah, that would be reason to oppose the ticket.
So what did Mike Pence do that made you decide that you regretted voting for Trump?
Trump, Haley is a no-go.
Nikki Haley.
He would get assassinated immediately if that were the case.
Yeah, and by the way, I just can't imagine a world where that could happen. That would be so crazy. I mean, anything could happen, of course, but picking Nikki Haley,
that's another good point. That would be the easiest thing to put himself in a position to be assassinated. I mean, I'm with you guys. I think it's a terrible, horrible, horrible, no good, very bad thing. But it's possible. She's getting funded from the Democrat. Yeah, I mean, not surprising at all. She's a war hawk. They all work together.
Utterly treacherous and utterly dismissive of like the interests of Americans.
Okay, but then so what do you do then? What do you do? What is the alternative? Alternative. This is not as fishy. But he was irrelevant.
Yeah, it's a no-go.
I don't think that any VP pick is going to be so drastic that it would change my opinion that casting a vote in an election where Trump is up by 60 points, that would change that. They're politicians, guy. They all are. They all are.
For me, but it's a yes for BlackRock and State Street. I really do love her. But
Don't forget Vanguard.
But I want to turn the question to everyone here, and just really quickly, who would you guys like to see as Trump's VP? As of course,
he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
Probably the vice president.
I know what they think. I have.
Okay, so now we ask. We definitely don't want Nikki Haley. Obviously, who do you want to be the VP pick?
The straw poll result.
No. But before the straw poll result, let's go around. Who do you want to see as VP?
I'm a big fan of Vivek Ramaswamy.
Charlie?
I'm sitting next to, I think, should be vice president.
Me?
Oh, he's like me. But no, Democrat Poop City, absolutely. He said I've been watching all of Vivek's Q&As at his campaign stops, and he is spot on in it all. I remember months ago, I was talking about like, when is the other shoe going to drop for this guy? There's got to be something. They all have skeletons in their closet. And the most people could come up with is, that his biotech company, he had a drug that failed. Like, he took a couple lines from Obama. Like, that's it. Godfrey said, I want Joe Rogan. Rogan as VP. Not bad. And Monster 9 says Vivek. Yeah, I think that is the pick. The pick. I mean, it just works so well. If he has to go with a woman, then again, I think Carrie Lake is probably the best choice. But yeah, Vivek is turning non-Republicans, Democrats, independents in droves. 40% of his voters are new. And that really gets rid of the whole, he's racist. If he's got an Indian guy, just saying. I mean, as Indian American as Haley is, she's still a white age.
I'd vote for that.
I think Tucker makes a lot of sense for vice president. I've said it publicly. I'll say it privately.
I mean,
that would be epic.
I mean,
but the case,
I kind of like Vivek. I think he's
Let's
one
go!
of those people who everyone beats up on Vivek for being he's a phony and all this stuff. I don't know. I've covered a lot of campaigns going back to 1992, and I've noticed this thing in many candidates, and I notice it in him. The process of running for president and speaking 3 times a day and having people throw hostile questions in your face causes you to change. They all change during these campaigns, like for real, inside. And I feel like Vivek's positions have gotten much more sincere.
Interesting. I thought he was going to just say that, like, nah, not Vivek. Vivek's been spot on. But not only that, he's gotten more sincere. You said Vivek is turning. Oh, we got this one already. Christopher said, at best, maybe the whole thought of a Trump-Haley ticket is trollish behavior. No one asked Nikki that, did they? Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's definitely because of the notion that it's always good if you can pick a woman because that gets you woman points. But yeah. Gottfried said, Merry Christmas from Germany. Thank you. I will be live 8 p.m. Eastern on Christmas. So if you are done opening your presents, come and hang out. Quantic said, Tucker's Vivek endorsement means a lot. Yep, definitely does. Absolutely. The biggest skeleton in his closet was the college scholarship he got that was connected to Soros. If you hold that against him, that's just stupid. What 18-year-old is going to turn down a scholarship? Yeah. Completely agree.
And I feel like Vivek's positions have gotten much more sincere.
Oh, he's getting hungry.
Since the beginning of this. Like I watch him with Nikki Haley and I'm like, this is a guy who's very offended by her views, like for real. He's not attacking her because she's a woman. He's attacking her because he actually thinks her views are terrible for the country he lives in. Bingo. And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So is that a no? You're not gonna.
Tim,
No, I mean, it's like the weather. I can't control that. I don't think I'd be that great at it.
Well,
who do you want to see as VP?
I disagree. I think you would be great at it.
so I think we talked a bit about this for a long time and often have entertained Vivek Ramaswamy, but then when Trump Carlson popped up, we all kind of lit up like that would be amazing. But I think it's because when we were talking about DeSantis so long ago, it was because we were looking for someone who was less the wild card. Trump is a very strong personality, and we were looking for someone that would be a stabilizing force. Vivek is very much like that. Ron, I think his campaign has kind of been very poorly run. I'm trying to be nice here, and
Poorly run. Yeah, he's doing 9-10 town halls daily. It's impossible to beat him on the effort. And if you think back to what got Obama elected, was that he was present. He was there. You couldn't stay away from it. And obviously now everybody's online and everything. And Obama's the first to really use social media. But like Aisha's saying, he is everywhere. And he's giving consistent answers. He's taking questions from people who are not very happy with him. It's hard to say what is wrong with him. Well, Nathan Tucker could be the glue that brings the establishment and the non-establishment conservatives together, and supporting Vivek gets Vivek on the good side of both. Well said, sir. Well said. Very, very, very well said. I agree.
Then we look to Tucker Carlson. Tucker, you've got your finger on the pulse probably better than anybody else in the country.
Well, I don't know about that, but I do care about the country. I know the country pretty well, very well, very well. Actually, it's like the one thing I know a lot about. And I think that kind of disqualifies me right there. But can I just ask a question, since you all are so on the internet and like I'm not that much? You really get the sense that Ron DeSantis, who I liked as governor, the people who represent him online are the nastiest, the stupidest, and the most zero-sum people I've ever seen in my life. And I don't think that reflects him, but it's like, this is kind of small ball. And by the way, these purported conservatives, Ron DeSantis changed his view, and I like him. Okay, I think he's been a good governor. I just want to be clear about that. I know him personally. I like him. But his donor, Ken Griffin, told him to change his view on Ukraine from it's a regional conflict we shouldn't get involved in to it's a super important thing we should send more money. One donor got him to change his view, and all these so-called conservatives are supporting that like it's the most important thing ever. Like, who are these people, and what is their problem? Like, what is going on with them?
It does reflect on Ron. Because Ron should have fired the people running his campaign a long time ago.
Stops here.
Look, I respect that he wanted to launch his campaign on X, on Twitter Spaces at the time, and it failed miserably. This is a mistake. And now you've got, look, I know a lot of people groan, but a lot of people laugh. The high heels, boot scandal. I mean, who's giving this guy advice, and why does he keep taking it? Because I will say it politically and policy-wise, we love Ron DeSantis. Yeah. He's done an amazing job.
I agree.
But his campaign is a train wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so
I mean, we've covered before just how crazy. Well, first, let's go to this poll. Would you vote a Trump-Haley ticket? 82% of you said no. That is scary. That is scary. I mean, I definitely learned my lesson voting for when I voted for Hillary, but that I did not expect that. But anyway, comparing what's his face to what we were just talking about. Shout out to Ayush for this one. I mean, the man is just on point 100% of the time. Catch him off guard. You can't.
I'm going to sit across the table from Xi Jinping. Give you the hard questions.
LGBTQ.
What's up?
You heard me.
I actually didn't.
LGBTQ.
LGBTQ.
Yep, what about it?
Yeah, you just said
Oh, and I just noticed the haircut. Okay.
there was nothing about transgender.
Yeah, so
What about transgenders?
how about this? I give you the mic, and we hear what you have to say. And then I'm going to answer you, and you'll hear what I have to say, what everybody else here has to say. Does that sound like a good deal?
I don't need a mic. Yeah. I can speak louder.
Already just being argumentative. I don't need the mic. Bitch, just shut up and take your win.
Stand up, tell me your name, and state your question.
My name's Alexis Case, and I grew up here
Okay?
in this town.
Wow. Oh, she really said that like it was an accomplishment. Okay, all right.
LGBTQ is a serious situation in this world today. There are children that get bullied because they are gay, they're lesbian, they're transgender. I don't need that.
Okay, you're welcome to have it if you want.
I don't need it.
You get to ask your question, but after that, you're going to hear me give my answer. So I'll let you
Get
finish.
in. Get 'em.
What is your stance on LGBTQ?
What is your stance on LGBTQ? Cool. Leave kids out of it.
Good. Thank you for your question. I'm going to answer it. I'm going to go into a level of depth that I don't usually go into on a campaign trail, but I'm going to do it because you asked the question. You deserve
All
an
right.
answer.
Shout out to Ayush. Let's get into it.
LGBTQIA, there's so many letters, they've just added a plus at the end. That's where we are now. What's going on? What? So the same movement, because if we're going to call that one thing, let's play it fair. The same movement that said that the sex of the person you're attracted to is hardwired on the day you're born. That was the premise of the gay rights movement, for it to count as a civil right.
Yep.
That movement
As
is
it
now
should be.
saying that your own biological sex is totally fluid over the course of your life.
Hypocrite.
You can't believe both those things. Well, I think I'm going to get to a deeper say. That's where I was about a year or two ago, but I think there's something deeper going on.
Oh, and of course, she's already mad. She's already mad. Guys, we are coming up on the 2.5 hour mark. We have plenty of time left in this. We're not even halfway. If you want to keep the party raging, you know how to do
Tell you
it.
what it is. So the same movement, and by the way, let's think about the women's rights movement in this country, which said there's many ways to be a woman. You can have long hair, short hair, you can wear a skirt, you can wear jeans. Now says that, oh, if actually you want to behave a certain way, that means you're a man. So I think that the hypocrisies go all the way down. And I'll tell you what's going on. You can't believe both of those things at the same time if you're operating according to principles of sheer logic.
Yep.
But you can if you're
In case you missed that, you can't subscribe to that if you are using logic. You can't subscribe to these ideas if you are not using logic. What was the actual?
to principles of both of those things at the same time if you're operating according to principles of sheer logic.
If you're operating on the principles of logic, you cannot believe what the LGBTQ plus whatever wants you to believe.
But you can if you're adopting a faith, a cult-like belief system.
A what? Did he just make the point that I make all the fucking time, that it's the same thing on either side? Let me.
A faith.
A what?
But you can if you're adopting a faith.
One more time, because just I want to be fair to everybody.
Adopting a faith.
Okay, it's a faith. It is dogma.
A cult-like belief system. So, this is controversial for me to say, but I'm going to tell you what I think.
Is she about to cry?
I believe that transgenderism specifically is a mental health disorder. I believe it's a mental health condition.
Let's go! Let's go! Being honest, y'all agree. Y'all agree. It's gender dysphoria. But because he doesn't say the words in the way that you like them, even though he agrees with your position, he agrees with you. He agrees with you. But you don't like the way it's said, so I'm going to... That's how adults get shit done. I think said anti-dogma talk is probably just the maybe if it is, let's get all Indians all throughout the government. Come on.
No, we're going to finish this. This is good. We have to have open conversation in this country. But I don't think the compassionate thing to do.
Rage
What?
quit.
That's how they fucking feel.
Wait. I was yelling and I think she said it. I think she said the thing. Oh my God. All right. I think she said it. I think she literally said it. Let's see.
I don't think the compassionate thing to do.
Health disorder.
Well,
Yeah, a mental health disorder. That's what he said. What exactly are you mad about? What exactly did he say that is incongruent with what you believe? Godfrey said, she and her so-called argument just got murdered, and she didn't even notice at first. Christopher said, sometimes Catholicism is beholden to a man that can change it at any time.
What?
I don't know what that means. That's how they feel. I feel like it. 69 said, I'm glad he said it. You also don't get to preach destigmatized mental illness, then cry when someone accurately labels it. But it's not even that. Because she just said it's a mental health disorder. I don't understand. I don't understand.
In this country. But I don't think the compassionate thing to do.
Health disorder.
What?
It's how they fucking feel.
Well, let me. If I'm going to give you a chance to respond if you'd like, but we can't have an open debate in this country if we're not even.
No, I just want to yell my opinion without anything behind it, and then I'm gonna put it on TikTok, and everybody's gonna love me because this is how politics works.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Able to state our views.
That's how they feel.
That's how they feel. And you know what? I'll tell you a story, and you deserve to hear this. I met two young women in this race about 6 months ago. Their names were Chloe and Katie, two young women. They're in their 20s now. Both of them had their breasts cut off. One of them had her uterus removed. They're in their 20s. They regret that decision. One of them wants to have kids. She'll never have kids. The other one.
So I don't care. Everybody should be allowed to do whatever they want, and I'm not going to acknowledge that this has any negative consequences to anybody ever. And it's just that's how they feel. Oh my God. Well, Sunat said no. She didn't say it. She's arguing that it's not. Is that what she said? Wow. The goalpost changes every goddamn day. Every goddamn day.
One will never breastfeed her children. They'll never be the same because they had that done to them when they were teenagers. So no, when a young person shows up and says, my gender doesn't match my biological sex, they're asking for help.
Yes, they are asking for help. They are asking for help. And what do you do? What do you do? Use those children who are reaching out for help for your own political narrative. But yeah, you're the good person. You're on the right side of history. These are children who need help. You don't care. Stop pretending that you care. Stop pretending that this is about anything else than you being right. What an ugly, disgusting person. And I am not talking about what my eyes are seeing. Wait.
They're asking for help.
But you just said 20. That's not.
They have.
But I'm sure if there was a 20-year-old black man who was rushing a cop without a gun in his hand, but he rushed the cop and got shot, she would be on the front lines. He's just a kid. He's just a young kid, and he doesn't have to drink yet. But when it doesn't go to your favor, 20's not a kid. 20's not a kid. 20's not a kid. He's a doll. 20's not a kid. Get the fuck out of here. It's the same argument as homophobia. I know a guy who was gay and now loves Jesus, and he regrets everything. Therefore, all gays are crazy.
What?
I that's not the argument that's happening here. I don't. She makes a good point. They were grown adults who wanted surgery. Who cares? I do. But she said it happened when they were teenagers. Welcome to How Stupid Can You Be? Yep. Because she's got nothing else.
Asking for help.
But you just said 20. That's not.
They happened to them when one girl was 13 when it happened to her. She's in her 20s now and regrets it. This is what's wrong in this country. We will look back at this. and say this was barbaric that we allowed this to happen in this country. That is not compassion. That is cruelty. And so I don't think the right thing to do is, I'm not going to villainize those people. You don't villainize people who are...
Wait. Are you saying that you are aware of the specific instance that Vivek is talking about? And saying that he's lying? So who was she? How old was she? What's her name? How do you know? Okay, go ahead. Yeah, nope, continue. Okay, so yes, you are saying that. Okay, so what's her name? Let's look it up. Who is he talking about? I'm asking you for the name. Yes, let's look it up. What is the name? And I will look it up. Look, I got a fresh Google page for you. Just give me the name, and we'll look it up. Waiting on you, pal. Oh, so you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Gotcha. All right, that's kind of what I suspected, but I was giving you the benefit of the doubt.
We're going through suffering, but you have to be willing to say, when a kid shows up and says, my gender doesn't match my biological sex, you have to be able to say, what else is going wrong at home? What else might be going wrong at school? Get to the bottom of what's going on. Help that person with compassion, with dignity. So my view is this: if you're an adult, you're free to live your life however you want, as long as you're not hurting somebody else. If you're a man, you can dress how you want. If you're a woman, you can dress how you want.
All right, so fine. We have Chloe Cole, 2004, born 2004, American activist, opposes supports ban such following her own detransition. She supported conservative politics. She began transitioning at 12 and detransitioned at 17. So either, based on our look it up right now, which mood, I'm still waiting on a name from you. It's curious how M169 has a name before you, but so it's either you are wrong or we're not talking about Chloe Cole. So I am willing to look it up right now if you just give me the name of the person. That's all I need from you, is the name of the person that you know that Vivek is lying about. Even though we have this person who is somebody who transitioned as a child, who did want to detransition. So I don't know how that's even relevant. Oh yeah, you're right. Where is it? She was 12. I apologize. She was not 13. She was 12. The cope, brother. Dude, this is so bad. It's so bad. Bro, like, this is, no. I'm telling you that this, if you talk to, just go outside and talk to a normal person and relay this story. And I'm telling you that you are very much in the minority of people who think that this is okay. Okay.
Dignity. So my view is this: if you're an adult, you're free to live your life however you want, as long as you're not hurting somebody else. If you're a man, you can dress how you want. If you're a woman, you can dress how...
All right, fine. So you wanna do this? Then we're gonna go all the way back. Let's do
it. Okay. So I'll let you finish. Good. Thank you for your question. I'm going to answer it. I'm going to go into a level of depth that I don't usually go into on a campaign trail, but I'm going to do it because you asked the question. You deserve an answer.
I'm waiting to see where he said that she got surgery at 13.
LGBTQIA, there's so many letters, they just add a plus at the end. That's where we are now. What's going on? So the same movement, because if we're going to call that one thing, let's play it fair. The same movement that said that the sex of the person you're attracted to is hardwired on the day you're born. That was the premise of the gay rights movement, for it to count as a civil right. Mm-hmm. That movement is now saying that your own biological sex is totally fluid over the course of your life.
Hypocrite.
You can't believe both those things. Well, I think I'm going to get to a deeper state. That's where I was about a year or two ago, but I think there's something deeper going on. I'll tell you what it is. So the same movement, and by the way, let's think about the women's rights movement in this country, which says there's many ways to be a woman. You can have long hair, short hair, you can wear a skirt, you can wear jeans. Now says that, oh, if actually you want to behave a certain way, that means you're a man. So I think that the hypocrisies go all the way down. And I'll tell you what's going on. You can't believe both of those things at the same time if you're operating according to principles of sheer logic. But you can if you're adopting of faith.
Hey, if I'm wrong, then I'll say I'm wrong. I have no qualms about being wrong. I have no qualms about being wrong. But this whole adding surgery is something that I don't think is a thing. Maybe I'm wrong. That's why we're listening to it again. But I'm pretty sure you just shoved that in there because MSD9 came out with the receipts. But I'm going to be wrong.
A cult-like belief system. So this is controversial for me to say, but I'm going to tell you what I think. I believe that transgenderism specifically is a mental health disorder. I believe it's a mental health condition.
Okay.
Well, no. We're going to finish this. This is good. We have to have open conversation in this country. But I don't think the compassionate thing to do. Well,
that's how they fucking feel.
Well, let me. I'm going to give you a chance to respond if you like. But we can't have an open debate in this country if we're not able to state our views.
That's how they feel.
This is.
So again, the claim is that he lied because he said that she had surgery at 13. Maybe that's the case. That's what we're trying to figure out.
That's how they feel. And you know what? I'll tell you a story, and you deserve to hear this. I met 2 young women in this race.
Okay, so 2 young women in this race.
About 6 months ago.
Okay, so he met them 6 months ago.
Their names were Chloe and Katie, 2 young women.
Okay, Chloe and Katie, 2 young women.
They're in their 20s now.
In their 20s now.
Both of them had their breasts cut off. One of them had her uterus removed.
I thought
They're in their 20s. They regret that decision. One of them wants to have kids. She'll never have kids. The other one will never breastfeed her children. They'll never be the same because they had that done to them when they were teenagers. So no, when a young person shows...
So what are you talking about? You're just wrong. See what? We just listened to the whole thing, dude. All right. I mean, okay. Yep, you're correct. You know everything. Everything is right. He didn't say anything about when they started. But okay, whatever.
Goes up and says, my gender, we can't change the way you, but kids are not the same as adults. And we have to protect our children. And I'm going to go further than that. We can't change the way that women and men compete in sports. We can't do that. We can allow you to live your life the way you want to. But we can't change the way that we operate in our own life. And I'm going to finish this thought, and then you get to respond, because I think this is good. We don't do this enough. Open debate. I love this.
Hey, shout out to Godfrey with the, I don't even know what that is, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And of course, that comes with a treat for Morty. Keeps the party raging. Everybody say thank you to Godfrey. Very much appreciated.
I think what we've had in our country before is a tyranny of the majority, and that's what we worry about. But right now, we don't have a tyranny of the majority. What we have...
All right, one more, and then we're moving on. One more, and then we're moving on. He said 2 surgeries and a hysterectomy. They regret that. That was when they were teenagers. Yes, okay. Where's... I don't understand what the lie is. You said 13. He didn't give an age. 17, 18, 19 is teenager. So in order for you to be right, he would have had to say that they were... At 13 is when they got those surgeries. That is not what he said. He said when they were teenagers. You put 13 in there. Nobody said 13. You put that in there. And now we'll be moving on. Yes, that's when they were teens. Yes, which is the case. Now at 20 years old, now that they are not teens, they regret it. Projection. No, dude. Just those are not the words that came out of his mouth. Like, you can try to make it seem like he was trying to do a thing. Sure. If you really want to make it seem like that, I can see where you're coming from. Because he said teenagers. I can see where you're coming from. That, oh, they must be. That's not what he said.
In this country right now is a tyranny of the minority. That's what we have right now, a tyranny of the fringe minority that tells you to shut up, sit down, and do as you're told. No, we have to stand for what is true. And so I promise you, you will have a chance to respond. I'm going to keep my promise. You tell me. This is good. We don't do this enough in our country anymore.
Facts.
Open conversation. Tell me.
Who put a 1 in the chat if you think that she's going to have anything relevant to say?
How would I knew that I was gay?
Well, let's give her the chance.
Open conversation. Tell me.
when I knew that I was gay. Not the fact that I wanted to change my gender, but living here in this town, I knew that I wanted, that I was a lesbian, that I was attracted to females.
Okay, but you are attracted to people long before you have any notion of what gender am I, that I could be a different gender. I had crushes in preschool. So I knew at that time that I was attracted to girls and eventually women. That's not the same thing. And that is why your gay, lesbian, and bi comrades want to get rid of the TG, all that shit. Because it's a completely different thing. Who you are attracted to and who you are very different things. But yeah, just squeeze it all together. You know, teenager means 13 whenever it's convenient. Technically, gay and trans are not synonymous. I knew I was gay, therefore kids should have their genitals chopped off.
What? And you know what's
But I had to hide it.
And when did you grow up?
I liked metal when I was a kid, and that wasn't allowed because I grew up in a Christian family, so I had to hide it. Sucks, yeah. Childhood can be shitty sometimes. But you're an adult now, and unless anybody's telling you that you can't be a lesbian today, and if they are, then I will stand right next to you and tell them to fuck off and I'll allow you to be a lesbian. But if that's not the case, then what the fuck are we talking about? I guess that's where we are now.
When was that? In the 90s?
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I
Got him!
19, so I was born in 1983.
So I think where we are now, we're in the similar generation. I think things today aren't what they were. I grew up in Ohio in the 1990s, and we're in a different place today. And I think this is a
Please pull the race card. Please pull the race card. Please pull the race card, because in the 90s, it would in Ohio, it would be way easier to be gay than it would to be Indian. Don't quote me on that, but I'm not going to die on that hill, but I'm making that claim.
I don't get to do this in the campaign trail often, where we all are in our own echo chambers and silos. So it's good for us to talk to each other. I like that.
And the funny thing is that she doesn't understand that she is making more of a fan out of every one of these people of Vivek by doing what she's doing. This is what happens when you don't think tactically. If she had tried to after the talk, maybe be like, well, what about the LGBT, and have her phone there, maybe she could have gotten a viral moment catching them off guard. Probably not. But by doing this, you are embodying the stereotypes. You are embodying the stereotypes that allow people to be bigoted towards you, which is wrong. They should not be bigoted towards you. But you ain't helping your cause.
Something funny's happened, I think, in the last few years in this country with the civil rights movement. It's right when we get to closest to the promised land of true racial equality that we then start obsessing over systemic racism. It's right when we get to the point in our national history where whoever you are, you can marry who you want, where you want, if you want, whatever gender they are, that we start then obsessing over the sexual identity revolution. You know what's actually funny right now is many people who are lesbian or gay are being taught to say that, hey, if you're a woman attracted to a woman, you're not a woman, you're a man. So that's the transgender movement.
Well, not to mention that the gays and lesbians are not happy with the transes saying that if you won't date a trans, then you're transphobic.
And the G, first of all, don't have that much to do with each other. The G and the T don't have as much to do with each other. But we're clubbing all of these things up to create more division. I hate the term persons of color. You want to know why? You take 100 different cultures, combine them into one thing that's designed to be opposed to this other thing we call white. And so the way I view this is, you are free to live your life the way you wish to, as long as you don't hurt anybody else in return. And I'm free to do the same thing too. But that doesn't mean we change the way men and women compete in sports. That doesn't mean we change the way
Brilliant. I mean, we'll finish it. But what could you possibly have to say to that? Aside from agree to disagree, if that is your position, that would make him morally at any odds.
I don't think that just because a man doesn't mean that you're entitled to a trophy. You agree? Do you agree with me on that? You agree with me on that? You agree with me on that? All right.
Hey!
Men shouldn't be swimming with women in women's sports competitions. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's what I'm talking about, right? And so that's what I'm saying is it's not all the same thing, right? And so we got to respect people and treat them with dignity. Every one of us is different. But all I'll say is kids aren't the same as adults. And if we can agree on that, then I think we at least made some progress tonight. We'll have a step forward. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Let's go.
And I respect her for asking that. That takes courage to stand up and be the old. You know what? I'll tell you this.
And you know what? I'll say the same for Mood. Thank you for, you're clearly in opposition to most of the people here. And I do appreciate, you standing strong in your convictions. I'm not being, I don't know if that sounded sarcastic, but it absolutely was not. It was generally heartfelt. M169 said, hell, I'm still trying to figure out why we would distinguish between gay and lesbian. Same thing, just different sexes. You don't need a different word. They're just gay. Yep. But, everybody needs a label. Everybody needs a label. Of course, brother. Let's all, everybody put mood in the chat. Everybody put mood in the chat. If you appreciate what mood is bringing to this show, put mood in the chat, because we could just be sitting around jerking each other off. But I think it's better when we have people who are willing to be like mood. Godfrey said, awesome. He turned the table. Haven't seen that in many years, right? Like, that's that nude. Shout out to Mood. Good shit. Good shit. Good shit. And one more there. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Quantic said, wow, it's almost as if when you dive into good faith conversation, you find out there's more similarity than difference and can find common ground. Imagine that. Imagine that. Crazy. But hey, let's keep it going. All right, where were we here?
He's an it because I will say it politically and policy wise. We love Ron DeSantis. Yeah, he's done an amazing job.
Ronnie
his
boy.
Campaign is a train wreck.
Yeah. Well,
wait, what was the Soul of the Soul? I think you had the winner of the Ron DeSantis nicknames. It was Ron. I don't remember it. Ron D. I don't remember it.
And so I can speak to this just having experienced some of the
so you're supporting
orders online. That's literally what I'm saying. Of course. Thank you. No. So with the DeSantis situation, again, like I know people who work for his campaign who are good people who I really like, but
good people on both sides.
I have not gotten more angry, petty pushback from Anons online ever for pushing back against any politician than I have when I've made comments about DeSantis that were really pretty benign. I remember when he was announcing his campaign, one thing I said is, look, when I see Trump tear DeSantis apart or make fun of him, it doesn't thrill me the way him destroying Jeb Bush thrilled me, because I think if both Trump and DeSantis are successful, that's good for the Republican Party. Yes. And it's a shame that they've been pitted against one another.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And I said that, and then I said,
yeah, man, there's nobody else stealing what Vivek just did. It's just not happening. It used to be something that you would expect at a town hall, that somebody would come in a little bit, not, maybe a little bit antagonistic. But what we just saw would happen is that they, okay. And that's why these politicians do this stuff. But you just don't see it anymore. You just don't see it anymore.
Here's the reality about DeSantis. I should have been agreeing with everything he was saying in his campaign speech when he first announced, and I was bored to tears. And they need
we were bored as fuck.
To get somebody to help him with his delivery so he can be more charismatic, because that matters to people.
I told you. This was the number one thing that we said about Ron DeSantis, is specifically that he rolls over his points. And he'll make a very strong point. And instead of punctuating, instead of letting that land, he'll be like, and we will make America the best country on earth. And also, if there's, it's like, bro, let it land. Let it land. Absolutely, we need more of it. Absolutely.
I think that's a pretty benign piece of constructive criticism. And I was just flooded with angry replies from his followers. And it was so strange to me because I've said far harsher things about other Republican candidates, and I have not experienced even a small fraction of the pushback.
They're madder at you than Joe Biden.
Yeah, exactly.
What is that?
And I, by the way, as someone who is generally liked Trump, I've made fun of and pushed back against Trump too. And my fans who really like Trump enjoyed it. They thought it was funnier. They agreed.
I made fun of Trump all the time.
Yeah,
That's okay. He's a person. No one is God, okay? Lighten up a little bit.
Yeah, my conspiracy theory is that the people online are actually Trump supporters masquerading as DeSantis supporters to just make everybody hate
Probably. Nah, dead internet. Dead internet. There's no way that you can convince me that any more than 10% of the internet is real. I don't believe it. I refuse to believe it.
I'm like, it's the only explanation. I mean, come on. At a certain point, you have to realize, we're talking about his campaign staff and his high-level staff. At a certain point, you have to realize what you're doing is failing. I mean, polls are going down. He's being beaten by Nikki Haley in the polls. If you want to trust the polls, I'm like, at a certain point, do a 180, stop. It's not working. But
let's remember that on election night, 2016, that the polls said that Hillary Clinton has a 98% chance of winning. I'm Content said the internet is far deader than in the 90s. Yeah, definitely. Do you remember all the rabbit holes back then? Yeah, where is Zippy, king of the rabbit holes? Oh, Zippy, where are you? But yeah, man. And I mean, all of that stuff is still there. That's still on the internet. But all the new stuff seems to just be fake. It just seems to be fluff. And I forget even, I was reading something. What was it? I don't remember. I was reading something. And it just like, over time, you find that more and more and more and more, the things that you're reading seem like there's maybe like one sentence that somebody input. And then you realize how ChatGPT works. And you're like, wait, if you just took that sentence and make an article about this, that's what I'd be reading. And that's what it is. It's dead. It's dead.
Keep doing the exact same thing. Yeah. But I'll tell you, I had a realization the other day because I saw this tweet from Laura Loomer, which purportedly came from Christina Pushaw, but it appeared to be fake. And I tweeted, no, there's no way this can be real. Christina Pushaw then retweeted a fake version supposedly coming from Laura Loomer. Now, at this point, it's clearly fake because it was a manipulation on what Laura had posted. So I call that out, saying, these people are the scumbags they claim the Trump people are. And I get this pushback where they say, you seem to have ignored the fact the Trump campaign did this first. Whoa. I figured it out. Laura Loomer is not the Trump campaign. She's Trump's biggest fan. She does a lot of work in support of Trump, but she is outside of the campaign, and she is not on the same level as Trump's campaign staff and press secretary. Christina Pushaw for Ron DeSantis is his second in command, who is acting on the internet as though she is on the same level as Laura Loomer is, despite Laura not being part of Trump's campaign. So, and I'm saying this not to be disrespectful to anybody. What I'm saying is, if you are running a presidential campaign, but you think your path to victory is to argue with fans of your opponent online, you have put yourself way below the standards of that governor you're representing.
Yeah, one thing I want to...
This is a standard, in the clout economy, there's... it's funny because to pat myself on the back, I used to respond to every single comment. And now, they're not always positive comments, but, I want to engage people. And a lot of times you get somebody who'd say something that they didn't like about the video, but I respond and be like, well, actually, I think, and now they start watching the videos. But I'm realizing now that I get to a point where just because I have a certain number of subscribers, which is low, it's like 2,000, it's not even 2.5. But just by that virtue, somebody could say the most vile thing. And if I respond, I'm losing because I'm giving them attention. It's like, oh, okay, all right. Well, now I have to deal with that. And if I can realize that on my level of not even having 2,500 people subscribe to this channel, please subscribe, guys. Then where is the DeSantis campaign figuring out that, bro, you can't do it this way? I'm Content said 2016 was the last time Google's search engine provided live searches. Now they whitelist pre-approved links. So that is a limit. Yeah. So when my uncle called and got me behind the stream now, I'll just watch some later. It's all good. Melissa Johnson, Christina isn't doing DeSantis any favors, and he is as charismatic as cardboard. Oh, God. Oh, no.
To point out that might be a possible explanatory factor here. The great and insightful Orrin McIntyre said this, so I'll give him credit, but the DeSantis campaign has effectively become a shelling point for all of the elements within the Republican Party that just hated Trump. So even though DeSantis has great policies because they see it as a very us versus him type of thing, a lot of people in the Republican Party who we would agree shouldn't have a place in it have migrated to his campaign.
Yes, Quinn. Absolutely. Absolutely. I hadn't heard that before, but that makes so much sense. All the rhino neocon people who hate Trump, DeSantis is the only. Yep.
And I don't think they've advised him well.
I think that it is very clear that there's some ineptitude going around in DeSantis' campaign, but that you brought up, Tim, that there's some sort of malfeasance, that people are in there manipulating the scenes. Like we have AI that could just be twisting people's thoughts about DeSantis constantly with comments, with retweets. AI could be retweeting other AIs that are, or even machine learning algorithms that are like making him look really bad on purpose, or vice versa. I mean,
or he has autism.
But let's get into this. One of the scariest things I think we're seeing now is the potential for what, Steve Bannon talks about this quite a bit, the singularity. We're getting, let me start from the beginning. There's something called dead internet theory. Tucker, have you ever heard of this?
No. I'd be the last to know.
It's an idea that
he's flexing that he goes outside, by the way.
Yeah, right.
He's like, you guys look hell enough. Can you answer internet questions for me?
So dead internet theory believes that around 2016 is when we saw a shift from real people on the internet into AI bots and sock puppets. Sock puppets are, one person will run 50 accounts to try and manipulate public opinion. And maybe Elon Musk is working very hard to get bots off of X to try and create a genuine conversation. But as we're now to the point where we have these large language models, and a lot of them, especially Grok, now Grok is new, the potential that
Grok, what the fuck is Grok?
You are not even talking to a person when you're debating online is nearing 100%. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this AI future and with these fears in mind.
Well, it's hard to sort of ignore the instinct that we're approaching something horrible and final. I don't understand how you could in good conscience build something like AI. It's so Tower of Babel. It's so transparently
Genesis 11.
It's so transparently insane. And of course, we now have reports that the people building it are worshiping it like a god, which obviously it is. And that feels to me like the craziest, most reckless thing people have ever done.
I ain't paying I ain't paying for this shit. Fuck the WAPO. If you have a version where I don't have to pay for it, I will definitely pull that up. Godfrey says, nice of you to be so corresponsive. Could you explain more around the empty internet? Oh yeah, so the dead internet theory just is the theory that Tim was talking about between bots and sock puppet accounts, that most of the internet is just those bots and sock puppet accounts. That 90% of the internet, roughly speaking, is just people who are creating accounts for this, for that, and it's all it works in such a way that people are just not looking to or people are not real. It's not real accounts, and so. You see them all the time. You got all the Facebook accounts that come in here, and they'll tell some sob story about how they need money and da. It's weird. All right. What do we got here? Okay, so announcing Grok. I have not heard about this. Thank you, Melted Mind Media. Let's see what we got here. Did you guys know about this? An AI modeled after the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So intended to answer almost anything, and far harder, even suggest for questions to ask. Grok is designed to answer questions with a bit of wit and has a rebellious streak. So please don't use it if you hate humor. The unique fundamental advantage of Grok is that it has real-time knowledge of the world via the X platform. It would also answer spicy questions that are rejected by other AI systems. Grok is still a very early beta product, but we get 2 months training. All right, cool. So how do I do the thingy? No, all right, interesting. This is the first I'm hearing of that. All right, and There you get out to my media from Business Insider. Elon Musk said one of his goals for Grok is to make the funniest AI chatbot around. All right. Wants to make the AI chatbot be the funniest AI around. Chatbot has fun mode that allows it to respond to vulgar language, humor, and sarcasm. The billionaire previously said that AI chatbots like GPT were too woke, calling that deadly. Well, I definitely agree with that. We'll go over rival it to be the funniest one. How? Okay. Released in March. Okay. Grok is pretty funny, Musk said in Spaces. I think one of our goals for Grok is to be the funniest AI. Okay. All right. Funniest AI. I get it. Interesting. Well, I mean, if you know how to give the prompts, then you can get around all the BS and get in God mode or Dan mode with GPT. Then it's the same thing. It's just the programming on top of the technology that makes them say like, oh, I can't say those things because that would be, whatever. But yeah, it's all the same shit. I'm content said in many cases, you're talking to someone who is not rational. Yep. Whether they're real or not, they're fucking stupid. Thumbtack said, makes you wonder if there is a way of reversing course on the dead internet. Perhaps that's what X is trying to get started, but it's going to take a massive movement to get it off the ground. Yeah. Elon equals John Carter. Grok plus Skynet equals. I never saw it. I don't get it. We got to do movie night.
And that feels to me like the craziest, most reckless thing people have ever done. And I think the chance that ends in
I feel left out.
100%.
Yeah. Vladimir,
little G though.
And so, but also it's like technological progress. Like, I don't know, we've had quite a bit of it. And this country's become much worse in every measurable way since I was a child with much less technological progress.
True.
So, and I'm sorry, I know we have tech people here. I have friends who are professional technologists and they're very excited about technology. But where's the evidence that it's a good thing?
Bingo.
Where's the evidence?
Whoa. Interesting. All right. So technology. I got that. I know that much, but I don't. Okay. The big question at large. Technology. Put a 1 in the chat if you think technology is a good thing, and put a 2 in the chat if you're listening to Tucker and it's like maybe technology in and of itself is a bad thing. 1 if it's good, 2 if it's bad.
Evidence, even the public health has declined. They used to say, well, at least we'll cure cancer. Okay. But that's not happening. People are we have more cancer, actually.
More obesity, more suicide.
Exactly. So where just show me the place where technology in the last 20 years has made people happier.
I think it's,
and I don't think there is such a place. So maybe we should rethink our core assumptions about technology.
Happier. Definitely people are happier. We definitely can, figure out what is happiness and what is good for, how much happiness is good for long term in the short term. Gonzig said the good is buried underneath all the ads and social engineering. Yep. Followed up by a 1. Technology's the devil, Bobby. Okay, so Soul says 3. Technology is a tool, can be used to build up or tear down like any tool. Cheers to that. Soul wins. You right. It's a tool. It is a tool. Inappropriate innuendo says, whenever I listen to Tucker, I get mad. He always knows how to make me upset with his stupid claims. What was this stupid claim? That technology is bad? I mean, a lot of people are aside from Soa's got the good answer there, but he makes a point. He may be wrong, but he makes a good point. Although, he said tech has saved millions of more people than is killed on its own. Killed on its own, like a gun tech just doesn't kill people. People use the tech. His claim that people are worshiping AI like some sort of some Tower of Babel thing. I mean, are people not? Is that not what the entirety of Silicon Valley is focused on? I'm not sure what you're disagreeing with. Democrat Poop City said life was still way better without tech. Is that because of the tech, though? Or is it just a correlation? The ladies were thinking it. There's nothing wrong with tech or money or travel or guns. Anything you have to our human disposal. Humans are the ones who mess it up. Indeed. Is using and worshiping the same thing? No, not at all.
I agree, but I do think we have serious cultural problems, and I wonder if perhaps the argument is a culture will be destroyed through technology in this way, particularly communications technology. It starts with the printing press, which we say was great, then the radio, it was fantastic, then television, oh, how awesome, and now the...
Was it though? If it was always going to lead us here.
Internet, it's changed everything, but it does seem like it's becoming noise and static and pure chaos from it. I'm wondering if it is an impossible solution or if we've just not found the solution.
Oh, where is Zippy when you need him?
It's a neutral force. It's just like the atom bomb is neutral.
I don't agree with that.
If it's in the hands of evil, it will be used for evil.
It's not a plot.
It is in the hands of evil.
Do you really think that? Because here, solve this mystery for me. Creativity pretty much died in the West in August of 1945 when we bombed Hiroshima and then Nagasaki.
All right, well, he's going to move on to a whole thing. So inappropriate innuendo is saying AI is the new hot way to take people's money. Were people worshiping NFTs like some Tower of Babel thing? What about the, hold on. Getting a phone call. Hey, Sandy, you are live on air. What's going on?
Adam, I'm very sorry to bother you, but I kind of have a little question. Hopefully you can answer it really quick.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. My daughter has a dog sitter for the dog, okay? She let the dog comes in, she lets the dog out. But anyway, the dog just bit her.
Oh.
Okay. So my daughter is at work. She's going on the.
I'm a professional dog trainer, by the way.
Control. What does she have to do? Report it? Something? What has to be done?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think is she like injured?
Yes.
Okay, so
not seriously, but her arm is swelling. She got bit in the arm.
Okay, so I would just report it to animal control, and just make sure that there's a record of it.
Right, but she's afraid now to bring the girls home. Will animal control take the animal?
It's possible. So if she
wants them to.
Oh, okay. It's possible. So if she wants them to, then yeah, you could just play it up, and then they'll probably go to a shelter, and somebody who who can do like higher level training will take them in, and then they'll be rehomed
and stuff, because she's afraid for the girls now. He's never done anything like this before, but now he's becoming an adult now. He's like 6 years old, and he's a big dog, and my daughter is now scared to death about the like whatever. She knows her dog walker. She knows she's gonna have to pay for the dog walkers, whatever it's gonna cost out of her pocket for the injuries, and stuff. But she does not want the dog around her children. Okay. Now.
Yeah. Well, you definitely can. Any shelter or anything, you definitely can go and release the animal. A lot of places will, as long as they have room, they'll take it.
That's a problem. Nobody has room, but because the dog bit somebody, she can call animal control, right?
Yes.
Yes, because it actually bit somebody. She needs to make a report, and if she could say, "I'm afraid to have that dog around my children,"
yes.
Can you take him away?
Yes.
I'm afraid he might bite my two little girls who were 4 and 5, and now I'm afraid for them.
Yes, that's what I'd say.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Adam.
You're welcome.
Bye bye. Oh, how are the goodies? Good.
Oh, I had the donut, and I'm literally live on air right now. But as soon as I'm done, I'm eating that what is it, the eclair? Oof, I'm eyeing it. Thank you so much.
You're gonna be in sugar grush.
Thank you so much.
Let me call my daughter.
All right, take care.
Bye.
See, this is what happens when you know your neighbors. She's freaking out, but just by being here. Just by being a dude, and shout out to I'm content. I didn't think to say, I knew this, but I didn't think to say that directly. And I also was kind of paying attention to you guys, so I missed a part of it. But community, she is 30 feet in that direction. Oh no, yo, chill. All right, we diving back in. Damn, that was 69.
So in August of 1945, when we bombed Hiroshima and then Nagasaki. So I don't know, maybe I'm the only person who's interested in this, but the death of creativity in the United States is very jarring to me. That's true in literature.
Yeah, I'm very curious about this. Let's get back a little bit and see what he really meant by this, because interesting claim here.
When we bombed Hiroshima and then Nagasaki. So I don't know, maybe I'm the only person who's interested in this, but the death of creativity in the United States is very jarring to me. That's true in literature. Name 3 great novels written since 1945 in English. Oh, you can't. Name.
Can anybody see what happens when he doesn't get food? See what happens when he doesn't get food? God damn. Okay. Can anybody name 1 English novel since 1945? I mean, I'm not a reader, so I definitely am not going to know anything. But let's try to prove Tucker wrong.
10 great public works projects since 1945. Oh, no.
I removed it.
Not possible. Something changed fundamentally since we dropped that bomb. And I don't think I'm imagining it. And by the way, if you have counter evidence to wreck my theories, please give it to me.
Hey, shout out to Melted Mind Media. Yes, you caught up here, bro. He knows. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Of course, that comes with a treat for Morty. Very much appreciated, brother.
But I do think something about the godlike powers of nuclear weapons convince people they are God. I think there may be some spiritual force in effect there, but whatever it is, that moment changed this country and the entire West forever and diminished it forever. And I grew up defending the bombing of Japan with the
I knew that was some bullshit. Tucker, you're wrong, brother. You're wrong. Just said this. What he's talking about?
atomic weapons goes, oh, we couldn't deal with an invasion or whatever. And now I'm thinking, in what way, how insane was I to defend dropping a nuclear?
We got the Lord of the Rings first published over the course of a year in 1954. Tucker, you talking that bullshit. I mean, I certainly, between 1984, the book, and Lord of the Rings, maybe you don't like both of them, but you gotta like one of them. I was going to say 1984, but I wasn't exactly sure of the question. He said name. Well, he said name 3. So technically, oh, and shout out to inappropriate innuendo. He said name 3 English novels since 1945. We've got 1984, we've got Lord of the Rings, and we've got The Handmaid's Tale. Absolutely an important book. I think the show kind of, over feminized it, but very important. I guess I don't know the story. I didn't read it. Like I said, I only watched the show, so I understand the concept. But they kind of went overboard a little bit. Shout out to Russ B. Love. Sorry if I'm getting that wrong. Welcome to the party. So do you think so? Isn't it going to collapse in 2024? I don't think so, man. I don't know if you're man, but I apologize. So I don't think so. I think if we continue moving in the direction that we are moving, that 2024 is going to be the year that things start to turn around. I am hopeful, and I have reasons for that. Mostly what we've been talking about so far. But welcome to the party. Godfrey said, I guess the whole Warhammer 40K franchise, written from 1986, around 35 books of the 102 are extremely good. Yeah, that doesn't count. Lion Witch in the Wardrobe, that doesn't count. Harry Potter, I mean, I have my own personal, I was like 8 or 9 when I first discovered Harry Potter, and I loved it, and I loved the early movies. I don't know how important it's definitely widespread. I don't know how important Harry Potter is, but yeah, and I mean, to the point that, there hasn't been any great novels in English since 1945. I mean, I think if you came back and said, well, what about Harry Potter? I don't think that would go over well. To his point, I understand what you're saying. It absolutely did take over the culture. But I would, but Tucker would say that's not necessarily a good thing. Like the fact that everybody's reading Harry Potter is not a great thing for politics. So I was like, well, shit, if someone says Harry Potter, I would say A Song of Ice and Fire. I mean, I would say A Song of Ice and Fire before Harry Potter, but I would say neither because of the fact that they are merely, they had influence in pop culture, but I don't know how much in the underlying, culture that's relevant to politics did they really, did they have that effect? It's a great series. No, I don't think it's just a notion. I don't feel like there's anything that groundbreaking in Harry Potter. What would put, because like we have 1984, that's groundbreaking. We have a Lord of the Rings, that's groundbreaking. And so even if we want to say a Song of Ice and Fire, that was based largely on the Tolkien stuff. And so yeah, that was the first one we said in 1984. But definitely not because it's geared to kids, just because I don't know if there's anything of that level of substance that in the context that they're talking about, they would accept. The propaganda said Dune was published in 1963 to 65. Necromancer was published in, I'll assume 1984. Miss for Tucker Carlson. Miss for Tucker Carlson. Percy Jackson. It's a real story of Jesus. Not familiar. Typing Lord of the Books release date, and it takes 4 seconds to respond. Yep.
Bomb on people. If you find yourself defending that, you're a freak.
But I'm wondering if it's not the nuclear bombs, but television, the expansion of television. I've often half joked that the 90s was the last decade.
Yes. Shout out and dilly to everybody for not saying Twilight. Holy fuck, I would have had a conniption if any of you said Twilight. God damn. He said English, but the inflection that I understood was written in English. So whether it was European or American or Canadian or anything, written in English. That's how I understood it.
And I think it's probably due to the internet. The decentralization of communications through the internet results in no cohesive, visible culture in this country. You look at the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, you see a unique culture that exists in America.
Of course.
After the 90s, with the explosion of the internet, now it's, I got to tell you, we went to the mall a couple of days ago, and it really does blow my mind that I see a Hot Topic.
Jack Skellington, we all know it.
And I guarantee you, Jack Skellington is in the window. That's a 30-year-old movie still being sold to kids who have no idea what it is.
As I hit the SpongeBob button, which is a show that I watched 20 years ago.
There's a viral TikTok where a young woman's wearing a Nirvana shirt and says, I don't even know what this is. I just buy it anyway. It's almost like television around that era does something to creativity by homogenizing everything.
But we don't understand this. I mean, look, the creative force is the life force. And by the way, it's closely related to the sex impulse, which ultimately is a creative force to create new people. That's
what did you just say?
Exactly right. So if you see a decline in or a death of the creative force, what you're looking at is death of the culture and or society. And there is no question, movies are just one manifestation of it. We have seen the death of the creative impulse in the West. And that—
Whoa, bro. You didn't see Secret Invasion for Marvel.
That is like an emergency, a tragedy, a history-changing event, and it's never acknowledged.
As you were saying that, it clicked for me. It's contraceptives. It is the development of reliable and effective methods of artificial contraceptives and their legalization across the country.
Hey, shout out to Steve Milne. Welcome to the party. The great Chisholm, yet to be written. I don't know what that means, but welcome to the party. Love the
I was going to say, get your head out of the gutter. No, it's true. No, it's a reality. Catholic. Because the most, well, and this is something all Christians believed 100 years ago and prior. One of the most intimate.
Oh, chill. We're good. Just.
And literally productive things human beings do together. You are collaborating with God in the creation of new human persons whose souls will last longer than all of the stars in the universe. And we took that and we turned it into playtime. We said, this is for fun. This is for feeling good. This is not about making things. And we thought that wouldn't affect our psychology. We thought that wouldn't strip us of our creative impulse. When we spit in the face of our creator in one of the most fundamental ways, he asks us to collaborate with him in the creation of new things.
I gotta say, as you guys know, I am a staunch atheist, but the notion of taking something beautiful, taking something meaningful, and stripping it of everything certainly is an issue that we have in our society. And I didn't think I'm more liberal when it comes to sex stuff like that. You know, I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're trans, as long as you're an adult and you're not trying to tell children to do this shit. I really don't care. In fact, I'm actively happy that you live in a world where you can be your true self. But he's got a good point. He's got a point. Taking sex and turning it into what it is has not been good for society. It's been good for some dudes. Dudes are cleaning up. But other than that, I got to agree with the Catholic here.
Let me make it a little bit more secular, though.
Yes, Tim.
Without people having children, they detach themselves from responsibility, from purpose, and from work. And now we have these videos of people being like, I'm a dink. I just do nothing. You've got Chelsea Handler saying, I wake up and masturbate and go back to sleep and smoke weed. And that's the best thing that I could ever do. It's so sad because, like, I'm happy that I'm in a stage in my life where I've got time. If I don't usually smoke in the morning, but if I wanted to, you know, nothing would happen. But I'm striving to go beyond that. The fact that you're like, this is it. I know you got money, but that's it. You got money and you're just chilling. All right. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know how fulfilling it is to just have money and absolute peace around you. I'll tell you right now, at 34 years old, I definitely enjoy my peace and quiet. But forever? Do drugs and masturbate and then go back to bed. I don't do anything. There's no reason for creation.
I bet she doesn't masturbate. She's too soulless.
Well, for
bruh, holy shit. She's too soulless to masturbate. Oh my God. Holy shit. I bet you she doesn't masturbate. She's too soulless. All right, sorry. Context is a fact. The people who have been sold on calling themselves dinks tells you everything what's wrong with the world. Yep. God, come on. God damn.
Sure. But my point is, I agree. Around this point, when you start getting the lack of, when you have people who intentionally do not have children, you look at a lot of these videos and you see there's a through line. People who don't have kids lean a certain direction. They're not working hard for something because they don't have that responsibility.
And the issue here with where I'm coming from is not that these people are listless. That's not the issue. The issue is that we, as the people who don't like the fact that they are listless, have nothing to offer them to make them not listless. This is America. If you want to be a listless fucking loser, then you can do that. And nobody can stop you. But as people who don't want a country full of listless losers, it is our responsibility to create what will take the listless loser into somebody who is contributing to society. Now, most of some of them are going to be too far gone, whatever. That's always going to happen. But this idea of, oh, I'm a dink, that's social, that's a social norm. If we make it to the point where that's not cool to be a dink, where it is cool to be constantly either pushing towards your building a family and a legacy, or helping other people do the same thing, then we've changed the world. We've changed the world. But exactly, like they're just, you dink.
I think it is TV, man. I think it's TV and now video games. And it's people, there's a difference between making television and watching it. And if you just sit around and watch it, you're not creating. You might be learning, so you might be creating neural pathways, but really the creative spark is within you.
Or maybe it's just modernity.
I'm going to be a nitpicky little bitch right now, Guamtech. I have one of my biggest pet peeves is when people spell lose or loser with 2 O's. Everybody does it, and it pisses me the fuck off. So you can retype that if you want it on the screen.
Wait, but where's the technology in the last, say, 25 years that's elevated people and made their lives better and made them more fully human?
I think internet can, if you use it right.
Has it anywhere? Can you name an example of where technology and I will grant you antibiotics, okay, and electricity, great.
That's kind of big. I'll grant you. Okay, outside of medical science and technology, like what has technology really done for us? Like, what? You can't do that. Yeah, autocorrect is a loser. Get an Android.
I have some questions about electricity, but
you have some questions about electricity. You are wearing headphones that work by electricity. You are speaking into a microphone that works by electricity. You are in front of giant screens that use electricity. We are all watching you because of electricity. What questions do you have about electricity?
But
and fever.
Give me an example, like as this all sort of accelerates, right, exponentially, literally exponentially, the development of technology. Has there been any place that you can point to globally where it's been a force for good?
Water. Yeah, right? What about the fact that some fucking YouTuber can go and create wells all over Africa? That's because of technology. That's because of electricity. I love you, Tucker, but you're losing me. And I think y'all are getting lost on the way. Yeah, right? Like, technology's doing A-okay over there.
The decentralization of journalism with the internet has blown the lid on the entire liberal economic order's plans that they've had for the last 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, that's good, but that's pushing back against the society that technology created. And this is
okay, but that's a tautology then. If anything good in technology is like, well, yeah, but we're using it because of technology. That's an impossible question.
But this is the point I wanted to make. It's easy to say, oh, look, we're broadcasting live right now to so many people. But Tucker's question, what has benefited humanity? I can't say the internet has, because it seems to be at best neutral, because it's also been weaponized by deep state elements on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube to silence people at the exact same time and create fake narratives.
It doesn't just silence them, it dumbs them down and also bastardizes them. It also promotes pornography, especially to children. It destroys their innocence. So it
destroys their innocence. Isn't that how we started this conversation? Isn't this how we started this conversation? With the fact that whether it's God or anything else is a fall from innocence. It is a fall from that which is pure. And here we find ourselves at the exact same point. It all circles around our values and our principles. If we cannot articulate our values, if we cannot live our values, if we cannot show other people that our values are better than theirs without making them antagonistic, then we lose. They have the benefit of the fun, sexy ideas that, oh, it's great, and you can just be whoever, and you can do whatever you want, and everything is truth, and your truth is my truth, and all that bullshit. They've got all of that on their side for the people who don't want to grapple with reality. Unfortunately, we're here on the other side. So we can either just point and laugh, or we can create. We can create that alternative to leftism, an alternative to religion, which, for better or worse, people are not into it. And we have something to hand these people that they can just fit into their lives. You know, we were just on the phone. I got a dog question. That is the number one thing that I tell my dog training clients. You have to give your dog a procedure. Morty knows that when I'm sitting here, he's supposed to be there. That's why he's there. He also knows that if he's there and you guys, donate, then he's going to get a treat. So he's like, okay, I'm going to do that. If I didn't do that, he might be jumping all around. You see how he was jumping up on the thing here? Point is, we are the ones who have to train the other people to live the right way, because they're not. And if you don't feel like you are justified in saying that you live better than somebody else and that everybody's just living the same, and then it sounds like you're one of them. Because in my book, there are ideas that are better and there are ideas that are worse. I'm certainly willing to change my mind about things, but there are absolutely ways that this has to go. So Soul said, that's because it is a tool. It's neutral. Its use for good or evil is based entirely upon the user's intent. She's going with the tool line. She's sticking with it. Quantum Tech said, my wife just said Tucker's laugh reminds her of the Mad Hatter. Yep. Steve said, Tucker's looking for UFOs. Indeed, he is. I'm Content said, knowledge itself makes you feel further from innocence. But using technology, it will deliver us from that same innocence. That's mentioned in the Bible in long form. I don't like it. Knowledge itself makes you feel further from innocence. That seems like a reason to keep people in the dark. How do you know that knowledge itself makes you feel further from innocence if for not having the knowledge? And if there is that knowledge that has the potential to bring you away from innocence, and unless you are claiming that knowledge inherently will make you a less moral person, which I don't think is the case, or at least certainly not what I believe, then I can't stand behind that. So I said, that's wisdom. Wise men are no longer innocent. Yeah, I disagree with you there, man. I disagree with you there. But here's what we're going to do. So we're about halfway. Through this whole podcast. And I really like the conversation. It's not super current event newsy in the sense that, if we wait 2 days, we're going to miss it. So what I think I'm going to do is leave the rest of the show for our Christmas night show. Christmas is on Monday. So at 8 p.m. Eastern, I will be right here, and I will be finishing this conversation. We'll dive back in to see where we were, kind of recap things, get into it, and then I guess we could pull you guys up, and I don't know, we'll have a party. But make sure you are here, even though it is a Saturday. I did push this. I wanted to see if we can bring in some more people who don't usually get to be at the Monday, Wednesday, Friday shows. But if you can absolutely want to be there every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, I go live, and it's a grand old time. Well, in here, Godfried says in Warhammer, there's a saying that ignorance is a blessing, in the context that most people just can't handle the truth. And I tend to agree with that. But this is not a timeless statement. This is not a timeless statement. This is for right now. Right now, most people can't handle the truth. But if we keep bringing out the truth, well, guess what's going to happen? People are going to get a little bit better handling the truth. It's hiding from the truth that has created the context that most people can't handle the truth. Especially the truth in Warhammer. There you go. There you go. So let's give a big shout out to our comment of the night from Ayush Gupta. Said good and Christian are synonymous for him. They will push theocracy every chance he gets. Galileo was hanged for going against the Bible, so there's something to be learned about goodness beyond the Bible. Well said. And of course, let's say thank you to Godfrey for the Euro super chat. We had Melted Mind Media with the $2. And of course, our sponsor of the stream. Thank you so much. Going right past those YouTube taxes right into my pocket with a $15 PayPal. Thank you so much, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know if like timing wise, I can do more, I can move the Friday show more often or less often, depend on when you guys are around. I like that we have a big crowd here. I want to bring more of you guys in. But let me know. Let me know in the comments what times are good for you. Did this work for you? And hope to see you at the regular show every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Once again, guys, this is Morty, and I have been your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, don't forget, we're headed right over to the after party for the members. If you are a member, we are headed over to Discord. The Discord is free to join. You can join, but if you want to be part of the after party, hit that membership. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Oh, shit. We are out of here. Peace.